Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod Turnbuckle Time Machine Edition. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host, the excellence of elocution, Dave Olinovich.
And if I mispronounce any words today, I will never podcast in America ever again.
The excellence of execution did make an occasional mistake, too. That would
3 or 9.
Yeah. He's about as perfect as you can get in the ring.
Yeah.
As was evidenced by the pay-per-view we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
Carrying a guy right through.
It's good.
Today we're talking about SummerSlam 1997. So from an era just prior to the probably most famous era of WWF history, the Attitude Era, but a time that Dave and I both, I think, agree. We've talked about it before. A lot of the better stuff actually was happening in the time just prior to the Attitude Era and then just post Attitude Era. So this was in a time when they were transitioning from I don't know if they still called it the new era, the new generation, right up until Attitude, but this is like at the crux of the crossover from the old the big blocky WWF logo to the Attitude, like that comes the next year.
Yeah.
This might have been the last big four that used the blocky one, as a matter of fact.
This was the last pay-per-view that did a couple things.
Yeah.
Which we'll cover.
We'll get to.
There's a lot of good stuff on this.
It took place in East Rutherford, New Jersey on August 3rd of 1997. Hopefully I got that right, and I didn't do the...
August 3rd, 97.
Okay, cool. I didn't do the... I'm looking at a British thing, so it's backwards this time.
It was not a February SummerSlam.
At the Continental Airlines Arena, the attendance was 20,213 goddamn people. For, like, what is generally considered a kind of still a down time.
Yeah.
So this is clearly they're starting to reap the benefits of, like, the good stuff that, like, the characters that they've been starting to build. The Stone Cold character is now, as we can see from evidence here, very over. So, like, a lot of times, like, when you look back at these shows, the narrative that we've been fed through the WWF and WWE, like, documentaries, it reminds me how inaccurate they are, because, like, for a long time they would have you believe that, like, Stone Cold was a total heel, cut the Austin 316 promo at King of the Ring, became super famous right then and there when he did that, and then didn't turn face at all until the double switch happened. And, and not at all is the case. Like, he was very, very popular here.
He was not only popular, he was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Wow.
Because it was before... Like, what happened at the end of this goddamn match?
Yeah.
So let me ask you first. What did you think of? I should have said they did 235,000 buys, which that seems low for a show that was able to draw 20,000 people.
Right.
But I guess maybe people just were not as willing to buy pay-per-views back then, or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. This is also like you said, wrestling wasn't quite hot yet.
Hot enough to draw 20,000 to a live show.
17,361 paid. The gate was $523,000, $202,000 in merch. So it was a record-setting show. The previous one was in SummerSlam '89, which was 17,202 fans with a $326,000 gate. This is because of the governor. The governor.
Oh yeah, we meet the governor. in a moment that, like, is really a stark reminder of how things have changed with Vince, and then post Vince too.
Yeah.
Like what would a couple of things happen on this show that just fucking never would have happened the year after, or then ever again.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you the buys and the attendance and, like, all those merch numbers being kind of weird enough is just a telltale sign of the fact that they are in that transitional time of, like, becoming a big deal again, rather than, like, they're not quite there like they will be in '98 when, you know, Jan at the office knows who fucking Stone Cold and The Rock are.
Well, the last WrestleMania was 13. So, like, it had no Shawn Michaels. We still had Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Psycho Sid, a main evented, right? Yeah. Next year...
Dude,
fucking Mike Tyson.
Nobody fucking figured out that Psycho Sid sucked until, like, 5 years ago. Now everybody's like, oh, he's the worst.
Yeah.
But, like, during his entire run, I was there. Nobody thought he was bad. Everybody loved him. Like
I loved him.
Everybody loved him. Like I remember my the WCW fan. Like I had a couple of kind of hillbilly friends that were very hardcore. Like that's not wrestling for the stuff that I liked. They even liked Psycho Sid because he was with their stuff before, and like he's absolutely awful. But nobody knew. Everybody loved him, so he was a big deal.
He was in 2 WrestleManias. He main evented both of them.
Yeah, he may have like you know what he is? He's Karrion Kross. He may have the best look of all time.
Yeah.
Oh no, because Karrion can really talk too.
Yeah.
He's Karrion Kross. If Karrion couldn't talk, it's just the look.
And was a foot taller and loved softball and hate working. No, the show I liked at the end. I thought it was a very backloaded show.
I forgot to mention at the top something that flavored the show heavily for me for a very particular reason. Our commentary team for this show, Vincent Kennedy, JR, I guess JR, and the King. And the reason I say I guess JR is because Vince like walked all over him on this broadcast. Greatest of all time, Jim Ross, in my opinion. I think yours. I think you mentioned you think so as well. Like
wrestling announcer,
wrestling announcer.
Who's number 2?
Right. It's like
nobody.
No close second.
Not
right?
even a close second.
And when in '97, that was clear. Like should have been clear to the guy sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Ross barely got a word in edgewise on this entire show.
I was thinking about this because I had the same thought while I was watching. He talked as much as he did on commentary. How insufferable was he when he was backstage and
in the air? I kept thinking that same thing. It impresses me more and more every time I see something like this, or even just think about it. Like what Michael Cole and what Jim Ross were able to do. I can't imagine doing this with like a Vince McMahon character in my ear trying to tell me. Because you have to still have your own thoughts and flow and not miss anything that you're watching.
It's like when there's a song on and someone's like, hey, how does that song go? And you try to sing it and you're like, I hear this song.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't fathom another song.
It's like, it's the pat your head, rub your belly thing times a billion.
Yeah.
So maybe if you ask JR, he probably preferred this thing that pissed me off the whole show to what he would eventually then have to deal with, which is a maniac in his goddamn ear nonstop.
Vince was funny at some points too, where he was, if Todd Pettengill caught this a couple times, he wasn't giving all the information, and Vince very like subtly to be like, "Oh, that's this way. That's this way. Say this." Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, you prick! You're not a nice person.
You're doing oh no."
Like I realized here, I'm like, you're taking me out of what he's trying to do here.
Now that we know, it is interesting to look back at like, oh, now I can see this through different eyes, and you're doing a thing there that I didn't recognize or realize.
And he's just berated these people after the show
100%,
right? Because he couldn't do it at the time, but he got back, and he seems like a guy that
built up a million things during the show that he wanted to go
and
after
just
people
won't talk to you or like won't return your phone call. Like a fucking child.
I mean, you're not just guessing that either. Like I've heard people talk about that's what he does.
There you go.
Like he'll ghost you, and then like it's like a groomer or a person, any classic manipulator. He does the thing where he won't talk to you, and then you're dying to hear. You need to hear from Daddy, and then when he does give you the tiniest little bit of praise, it's the greatest thing in the whole wide world, and that's why you later on you do an interview and say, "Oh, he's a genius. I love him so much because one time he said good job or whatever." Like I remember, you ever see the Kevin Owens thing when he had the match with Jericho? Are we good? And then Owens looked like he was going to kill himself.
Yeah,
he's like one of the most confident wrestlers I've ever seen. Otherwise,
also,
Vince's little no made Kevin Owens like fall to pieces.
That was off the heels of the greatest angle the company did that year.
Yeah, yes,
and then they buried him on the card
for a year or whatever.
They buried it on the card. They took the title. It should have been a title match. And then like, are we good? And then to hear no, it's like, dude, you neutered me.
Yeah.
This is the third fucking negative piece of information I get. Fucking Goldberg needed the title. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on,
and it was just like heartbreaking too to see my guy like.
We could have got a Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens world title match
after his best angle they've ever done with him, and one of the best. Honestly, to me, one of the best ever. Yeah, just one of the best storylines they've ever done.
We're talking about the list of Jericho.
Yeah, the friendship festival friendship.
But no, he's kind of a dick and like it's clear as day.
kind of a dick. Yeah.
Vince's.
Much,
Kevin Owens
much
seems
like
very
Adolf
lovely.
Hitler, kind of a dick.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch minimal. I'm speaking no languages.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch is something.
Minimal? I don't know.
I know. Minimal, I think, is just Spanish.
Yeah.
I think that is
I think
one
that's
of those
how
words
people who
that
can't speak Spanish say words in Spanish.
Well, there are those words that are the same, just with the emphasis on a different syllable.
I love when I get food with somebody and they're like, hey, where do you want to go? Oh, we can go to a Mexican restaurant. They have chips and salsa, and then we can get tacos.
Tacos. Want to get tacos?
What are you doing?
There's a commercial right now that airs during Raw of like a white girl is out with like a Mexican family and they're ordering, I forget, burritos or something, and the girl just says burritos, and the family all are like, no, you have to say it with emphasis, burrito.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, she's white. She doesn't have to say it that way.
It is a hack comedy bit, and like I felt bad. Jim Jeffries did it on a special a couple years ago, just with he did it with mozzarella. He's like, how come Italian people are like the mozzarella? I'm like, hack Jim Jeffries. He's great.
I agree, but I do think the Italian thing.
No, that's all the
gabagool.
That's soprano
mozzarella.
shit. That's all soprano
yeah,
shit.
But that's the one of those, and it is a hack shit. But it's the one that I still think is kind of funny.
Yeah,
when people are
gabagool. Michael Scott orders it. It's hysterical. I will have the gabagool.
It's all in the delivery. It's probably not great in like a stand-up set, but in that context,
it's just that like funny. I've had that thought before. And I'm like, Jim Jeffries, you're one of my favorite comedians on earth. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you know. I want the best for my guys.
He's Australian.
He's doing great.
You can't be 100% when you're Australian.
No, you also can't be 100% if you're a SummerSlam in 1997 because this show,
up and down.
Like I said, if this was a teeter-totter, there's a fat kid on one side and nothing on the other side.
How about the open, the fucking melodramatic video package? That
I wrote it word for word. Would you like to read it?
I was hoping you did because I didn't want to.
Yeah,
and it was incredible. So.
Oh, really quickly, the opening of the show. It's basically a cold open of an American flag waving on the screens with the Star Spangled Banner playing. It is also too, if you take the quality of the video into consideration, it is identical to Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah,
before he goes on. It's like a MIDI version of the American.
It might be the same thing. It might be the same goddamn thing.
I had to like double take. I'm like, did I put on HBO?
It feels a little bit like what they used to tell us when we were kids. What you would see. What TV would broadcast at the end of the world or whatever, like when they were going to go off the air, they'd do that, and then that's how the show opens.
We're signing off now,
and then we cut to the most melodramatic.
We cut to Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. I also wrote peak 90s fashion in this building. This is like
Christ.
This is after the Saved by the Bell era and right before the new metal Limp Bizkit era.
Yeah.
And like people like we're trying to figure shit out, but
it was the like awkward tween years of America.
Yeah.
And it also happened to coincide with my own personal awkward tween years, but like it's a rough one.
It was a rough one, yeah. And they zoomed in on the wrong people. But I also forgot this open where it's like in over 100 countries in 7 different languages to more than 500 million viewers each week, the World Wrestling Federation, the worldwide leader in sports entertainment. I forgot about that intro completely.
I didn't even realize they were doing sports entertainment in 97.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to say different? If you just say fucking 7 languages.
7 different languages.
Like,
no,
nobody's going to think if you just say 7 languages that you're like British English, American English, Irish English. Like, no, we know.
Technically,
7 languages.
That would be a different type of language.
It would, technically.
It's like local vernacular.
Kind of right. But like
7 different, different. Because if people say 7 languages, they're like, who cares? And then they show the 7. I meant to write the 7, but I'm like, good job, guys.
I wonder how many they're at now.
I thought to go back. I was so annoyed by the end of the show, though.
They're about to.
I didn't want to do more research.
They are about to sell out a pretty decent house in Japan for the first time ever. So I bet they're broadcasting in Japanese now.
Yeah,
we'll
have to go back and see if that was one of the 7 languages. And then I just wrote signs everywhere, signs.
I missed the signs and I missed the flash. Really missed the camera flashes. Yeah. That was like the dopest thing from that era.
I saw The Rock do an interview where they were talking about signs, and he used that as a litmus test if a catchphrase got over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought of that way back then too. Like if you would know what was over by what you saw, or what you wanted to bring.
He said, if I said it one week,
shitloads of signs.
We sure did bring signs. Yeah, he said if I said it one week and I saw a sign and I saw signs the next week, I'm like, I got something here.
Yeah.
Like everyone's on their fucking phones.
You know what's
now.
weird about it too, though? I don't remember ever feeling off-put by a sign that was in my, like, obstructing my view.
No.
And I don't, never a single person asking me to put a sign down or whatever. You'd think that would happen nonstop, but I don't have any memories of that at all.
I agree. Also, too, like, you didn't want to be the hypocrite.
Yeah, that's true.
Put your fucking sign down.
It was like 90s attitude too, so like, fuck off, bro.
Yeah.
And they understand, fuck off.
Totally unrelated to this show, but it did make me laugh. I think it's the Royal Rumble. One of the Royal Rumble. In the opening, behind the announce team, there's two guys dangling a bag of Coke. And it's still on the network or
That
Peacock
is
or whatever.
lovely.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Well, I'll text you what it is afterwards. But the intro video, like you said, very melodramatic.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, there would be no villains. This is a wrestling show.
It's a wrestling
in a perfect
a
world.
wrestling show that's main eventing a ghost man from the undead ghost man from the other side, by the way.
Against a normal guy with a big family.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, there would be no villains, no conspicuous manifestations of hate. It's a pro wrestling show. Athletic excellence would be applauded. Sportsmanship would be the rule. Our heroes would remain heroes forever. If life were fair, then this legend, Bret Hart, would be lauded in his pursuit of a historic 5th World Wrestling Federation championship. Instead, he's a fallen idol, America's public enemy number 1, the respect abandoned, the legacy bludgeoned, and spat upon by a society he feels condones defiance and perpetuates hate.
So my first thought was somebody just graduated with a screenwriting degree from NYU, got hired by WWF, and did not understand the assignment.
No.
Because holy shit, this is like the beginning of a World War II movie or something.
This reads like, do you ever read those like Philosophy and The Simpsons or whatever? It reads like that. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't need to know the Freudian explanation of Bret Hart.
Like, I like deep stories in wrestling.
Yeah.
Not like that.
No.
Relax, guys. It's The Undertaker. He's fighting The Undertaker.
A zombie man.
Yeah.
We're just getting started with this, by the way. If life were fair, then this mighty champion, The Undertaker, this survivor of deception and conqueror of all earthly hells, would surely revel in the championship spotlight. The bright lights wouldn't singe his aura, illuminating a dark, horrifying secret from a distant past. We're a month away from Kane, by the way. That's what
they meant.
at.
Like not unsubtle about that. If Kane's real, this his brother Kane.
Yeah.
Like in Jesus Christ, at least now they like keep it a little bit subtle. Like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's super evident how much better the rating is now watching this. Of course, the guy that was saying all the shit was the guy that was writing the shit too. So
yep, yeah. This was I always knew. I had a lot of revelations when watching this show. One of which is there's a lot that happened in like a super condensed amount of time.
Exactly.
In 1997.
Yes.
Like we are maybe just over a month away from the first Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And then a month later is the screw job.
Yeah. And then we got like Mick wins the title in like a matter of months from here.
It's a lot quickly.
We're still Blue Cage era, and then Mick winning the title is within less than a year, and that's crazy to me. Like it seems like that should be 7 years apart or something.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I want to say a bunch, but
we could do it as
I have it in my notes.
Yeah, as we get to the.
Let me continue. And if life were fair, then this man might still be champion.
If life were fair,
Shawn Michaels, dancing, flying, showcasing his extraordinary talents to legions of fans. He wouldn't be an athlete betrayed by an unwilling knee. A man surrendering a boyhood dream to search for his lost smile of youth.
I think Vince sucked his dick at least one time. At least one time. He never with anybody else ever in the history of his wrestling career was so much like he's perfect. We need to please whip it. Show it to me, Sean. Show it to me. Show it to me. Show me the grapefruits. I'm gonna lick the grapefruits.
What a ugh. Yeah.
At least once. Sean was so fucked up back then too that like
this was
he wouldn't
like,
have even known.
I think we're in the bowels. Of it, too.
Yeah.
Maybe not the bowels because we got the Tell Me a Lie video about a year ago.
I'm like the I hate Brett, I hate Sean back and forth. I think a lot of that was fueled by the stuff that Sean was doing. So I do think it was kind of like you said, at the height. The height was a while, but at the height of that.
Also, too, like he wasn't betrayed by his knee. He was betrayed by a need to not drop a title to anyone.
Yeah, that he was betrayed by that doesn't work for me, brother.
No. Who did he cleanly lose? I think we did this on a previous show, but like who has he cleanly lost a title to in this era?
Ooh, doggy.
Who did he lose to? Like,
no.
Yes. It wasn't clean, but it was a Survivor Series because Sid hit Jose Lothario with a camera, and Sean was distracted, and then he lost. Madison Square Garden really liked Sid that night.
Yeah,
they were done with Sean.
Diesel, drop it to Diesel.
When he beat Diesel for it,
and that's what I was asking if he ever dropped it to Diesel.
Did he beat Diesel for it?
They had to have traded belts at least once, the two of them, because that would be a giant waste of a very good angle that they could have had because they were together and then both ended up being champions.
Yeah. We're just gonna look this up real quick. Oh, it just says it says he had the title. I want to know who he lost the title to. I'll look at one more site and then maybe this will be
my. While you're doing that, the other day I watched a YouTube video, a very well produced one on the Who Killed WCW. And they talk to a ton of different people. It's good. They talk too much to Bischoff. Like they give him too much shine when I think that he is like by far the biggest culprit when it comes to that. And he just loves himself so much. But my two favorite things at the beginning, they're asking everybody, like every wrestler that took part and was a big deal in WCW, like what they thought of WCW as a whole. And my two favorite ones, most of them are all positive stuff that like, it was a great thing. It was the last time up until recently that we got like that kind of wrestling until they decided to go in a different direction that killed the company. It was all stuff like that, except Bret Hart was like, go fuck yourself. WCW can go to hell. And that was all he said. And then Kevin Nash was, thanks for the dough.
I really want to, it's 4-parter, right?
I've only watched the first 50 minutes.
I'm going to wait for the
It's good thing. Though.
So this is just 1996. So he lost twice. Was it not?
He lost twice total in 96?
He lost 2 titles in 96.
Oh, title, okay.
Once was the European title to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which I think was schmazzy, right?
Yeah, and also his boy.
Also, too, I don't know how the fuck we're skipping over this. He lost the title Stone Cold Steve
Stone
Austin
Cold.
at WrestleMania.
When he couldn't like move. He couldn't get it. He tried to do a super kick and it was lower than what I can currently do.
Back is broken. Spinal.
Like, I don't even know if I can grant him that because it was so very obvious that he could not continue to wrestle.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, sure. I'll put over Austin.
96, 97.
Yeah.
But like he lost a lot of DQ matches. Psycho Sid.
I'm pretty proud of that. I pulled that out of my ass as not the biggest fan of this era of historically
3 times, but like he doesn't like losing titles like voluntarily.
Yeah, he can't. Like he's another one. He's like he must have gone to the Jack Perry Liv Morgan place where they bring a doppelganger that's a different person back.
Yeah. Because
when he came back, he was a better wrestler and a absolutely different human being.
He found Jesus.
Found Jesus. I know.
Jesus.
Lots of people find Jesus and still like
HBK, and he came back a better man. Woo!
He found something else too. I mean, he must have done some heavy therapy or something because he was a totally different guy.
Yeah.
Sobriety will do that too for you.
And then he came back and
carried the Undertaker to a bunch of good matches. And
I mean, he was having Monday Night Raw matches with Rob Van Dam and Shelton Benjamin. And
I think his worst matches after the comeback are better than his best matches when he was a rising star into like champion.
Sure.
I think that second run is so much better than his first run.
Yeah.
That like it doesn't get recognized as such very often. People always say, "Oh, he came back and he had another great 8 years or whatever." look at those matches. Those matches were all better than the stuff that he did prior.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's why I said at the top, I'm like, how great Steve Austin was in this, because he felt different.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
on this show.
He moved so fast.
He felt different. Dude, Mankind felt different.
We should have known this, though, because we have done stunning Steve Austin WCW things where we saw this from like 2 years prior to this or whatever,
Right.
the way he moved.
But
I didn't put it together in my mind because he didn't have the Stone Cold aesthetic.
He had a
Here
short
it's Stone
window with
Cold,
it, yeah.
but he's flying around like fucking Braun Breaker or
This
something.
is literally the last time we're going to see it,
Yeah.
because some ass bag wants to go into business for himself.
Yep.
I'm not done with the opening promo, by the way.
No, of course not.
Is it fair that tonight, even in victory, this champion will be haunted by personal demons whose voices cry out from the dark? What the fuck does that have to do with?
No idea. Like Ed Grill and
Yeah, I
Poe-S.
Yeah. The rapture on my chamber floor. Is it fair that tonight this man may? I purposely didn't say who these were because I wanted you to guess who it was about. We got the first one right.
Okay.
Is it fair that tonight this man may rewrite history, yet still incur the wrath of a hostile and unappreciative nation?
Well, that's Brad.
That's
right?
of course
It's gotta be Brad.
yes. And is it fair? We don't process of elimination. And is it fair that tonight's special referee? This is a dumb game.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is it fair that tonight's special referee is a despised enemy of the challenger? Will vengeance flow ruinous from his biased heart, ensuring that tonight will be the last night Bret Hart ever wrestles in this country again? Life isn't fair, but whoever said it would be.
So that's the Heartbreak Kid. Was he? I didn't write it down, and I don't remember. Was he wearing his referee booty shorts?
At this show, no. He was wearing
So he didn't debut those yet.
He was wearing like TLC pants.
Okay.
Big like
maybe that's why it
dancer
popped
pants
into my head when
and
I was
boots.
like, oh, no booty shorts.
I liked his out. He had Doc Martens on, big.
Yeah. That's okay.
Big nylon
yes.
pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good. Also, too, I'll say it at the top. Very good referee.
He reffed the match wonderfully well. There was one thing in it that I was like, it was a story beat, and I didn't understand it, and I still don't really understand
Yeah.
it. We'll talk about it. Maybe you can elucidate a little bit. But beyond that, like he did a great job.
Yeah.
And I hate Schmaz's finishes, but he does Schmaz finishes better than anybody in history. He does like the 2 or 3 that I could think of that I love.
Yeah.
Are all Shawn Michaels. It was like the Triple H Hell in the Cell one.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird Schmaz finish. That was like the greatest timed thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one was incredibly well timed and perfectly executed.
Yeah.
He's just great at those. And
It helps when there's somebody in there who can excellently execute.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad those guys could never.
Yeah,
Get on the same page.
Yeah, they could have made $1 billion.
Yes, they could have like
we lost.
done a 40 match series.
If Brett was there for the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
Oh my
Brett agrees.
I tell you
Because
what,
every time he talks about WCW, it's very evident that he like has more regret than I've ever seen any wrestler have about anything.
I have a lot to say about Bret Hart. Let's get to, because I want to get to that match, but we got to get through the rest of this card. Yeah. What did you think of the wrestling on this show? You asked me.
I got two somewhat opposing thoughts. I thought the show as a whole was not quite as good as I remembered, or as is often remembered in lists and stuff.
Right.
I thought it was a solid show, but like I didn't think there was a great moment on it, and but I was entertained. There was no point where I was like, "This is trash." Which for most pay-per-views, that's enough to be a good thing. Yeah. And there was a couple good, solid things, but I often see this on like top 10 lists and stuff, and I don't think that is the case. But the other half of that is, and I mentioned this to you a little bit last week, but I want to go over it like one by one real quick. I don't know why, and I could not find any evidence as to why. Dave Meltzer, king of the star ratings, the man that everybody looks to for rating matches, fucking hated this show more than any show I've ever seen him review. Yeah. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. His star ratings for just a real quick rundown, because I'll do my own star ratings as we go.
Yeah.
But this is how Meltzer scored this show. The opening cage match with Hunter and Mick, 2.5 stars. Goldust versus Brian Pillman, 0.5 stars.
Nope.
was waiting for something to happen in that match that would make that a thing. Legion of Doom versus the Godwins, 0.5 stars.
Nope.
Again, what? Why? There's always a reason for something like that. Like it's, I'm offended by something or somebody got badly hurt, but like none of that shit.
Right.
The Bulldog and Ken Shamrock, 1.75 stars.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
It wasn't great, but like, Jesus Christ,
No.
Dave. Los Boricuas versus the Disciples of Apocalypse. Like, I thought it was a trash match, but 0.5 stars again? No. Like, no.
Yeah.
0.5?
Yeah.
Come on. The Stone Cold Owen, he did 2.75. I can give him that, because he got hurt at the end. Maybe that's why you're dropping it that much. But, like, outside of that, there's no reason to give that match that low. And then he gave Brett and the Taker 3 stars, which is like his only, okay, I like this match.
Yeah.
On the whole thing. 3 half-star reviews. And so this show's much better than that.
I'd say so.
No goddamn idea why he did that. And I watched like Meltzer talking about a retrospective of 97, and he didn't indicate really why with that. But like, I don't know why this doesn't stand out. People always talk about Meltzer never gave Kurt Angle a 5-star match or HBK a 5-star match. They also should be bringing up, hey, you ever look at his SummerSlam 97 reviews? Because that's some personal shit or something going on there.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
And maybe another reason why we shouldn't be taking one guy's word as the word of God.
I never got it. I never got where like everyone's it's fine if you want to say what you thought of the match, but how this guy ascended to be the end-all be-all reviewer of shows, like, oh, Meltzer. I want to get this many stars. I want to get this many stars.
Other people would have done it and been consistent and done it, because then we'd have some other voices.
He's become like the lexicon of like professional wrestling.
That's what I mean. I think that's one of the reasons that he has become, because he just did it for, like, he's done it forever and he was consistent always, like just doing it, not consistent in how he reviewed, but like he was the only one that always got him out. They were always out there. I wish that there were other people that were doing it at the time and then through now, because then we could have like an aggregate idea rather than the definitive star rating on Goldust versus Brian Pillman, a perfectly serviceable match, is a half a star.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there were some mistakes, but like nothing to drop it down to sub 1.
A single botch there was one botch in the match.
The ending was botched pretty bad.
But like,
that's okay.
I've seen lots of endings botched that Dave Meltzer didn't give.
Point being, it should have been at least 1 star, and even 1 star would be low. But half a star.
To me, it's like it's obvious that there was something. I just am very curious to what it was. Like maybe Vince called him a pussy before the show or something, and and it pissed him off. But something personal had to happen.
Maybe saw him and Sean in a room doing the thing you said. What was this match? The first match? What did he give it?
The
opening?
The opener, 2.5.
2.5 stars. We had a steel cage match, which
Blue Cage.
I think the last time.
It had to be.
I think.
It had to be. I was thinking the same thing.
Hell in a Cell's next month.
Oh, yes. It absolutely had to be.
If it's not this, it's close. Steel Cage, Mankind versus Triple H with China went 16 minutes, 26 seconds.
You know why they did the big blue bars?
Yeah, big fat bastards needed to climb up.
King
Kong Bundys.
What the official word is Vince thought that it obscured the camera too much, which doesn't make any goddamn sense, because I've never had any trouble viewing.
It was
any
because of big guys too, for real.
You think
No, I've heard that.
That makes more sense.
That they needed
their
more
official
space,
line, the company's official line is, they wanted a more access for the camera.
Yeah,
but like big fat feet is a much more reasonable answer.
They got to be able to climb. How is King Kong Bundy going to climb a chain link fence?
And before then, and everywhere else after then too, the climbing the cage was not a thing unless you were doing a spot,
right?
Because it wasn't. The idea was not to escape the goddamn cage.
And if it was, remember when they would cut the holes, extra wide footholes, and you're like, we see those.
Yeah, they like build in. Also, it was like cut and tied off these circles.
Yeah, like we. It's like a magic eye was fucking with you. If you squinted, you saw a schooner.
Yeah.
How
that shit I never got one of those to work.
Magic eyes?
Yeah, not one.
I used to when I would get it, I would be afraid, like, for some reason my eyes would just like go all like crazy, and they would get stuck that way. So I abandoned.
Because people told you that the eyes getting stuck that way thing was like a meme before memes existed. Everybody said your eyes would get stuck that way.
But it's just how it felt really weird. Like
yeah,
once
it would
you
piss
saw
me
it,
way the hell off. Like like Ethan Suplee and Mallrats level pissed off because people would always be like, no, do the thing where you're looking past it and you're relaxing your eyes. I'm like, I'm fucking doing exactly.
Yeah.
I know what you're telling me to do. I recognize exactly what you're telling me to do. I'm doing that thing, and there's no goddamn sailboats.
Yeah.
Like, it just never worked for me.
Well, keep you away from stages in malls in the third act of movies. So this match comes on the heels of China being a little bit of a problem for old Mankind. Triple H is coming off the heels of winning the 1997 King of the Ring. He's not wearing any gimmicky shit, no crowns.
China looked so badass before the surgeries, man. She looked so badass here. Like,
badass. At this point, Vince let us know that the governor of New Jersey will be joining them. It was a huge deal.
Oh, I forgot to mention, this is probably also our last Flemmy Vince. Welcome to SummerSlam. It was we did the classic Flemmy Vince introduction to a big pay-per-view. Yeah. I think this probably was the last one of those two.
Good. Did you think the cage looked smaller than you remembered?
It looked smaller, and it looked rickety as fuck.
Yeah.
It looked like it was like not put together properly. Like they missed some pins or something, and it looked super short too.
It looks super short, and I don't remember it. Maybe because now the cages are like 30 feet tall.
Yeah, now they're break edge leg height, no matter what. Like it's not. They're all hell in the cell.
Yeah, level.
Heights.
That's true.
Also, this did finish with Mick doing the Jimmy Superfly.
That was another part of the story.
Thing, and I up until then, like a dude his size never would have done that kind of spot. No. So maybe it was even brought down a little bit for that purpose
Could
too.
Be. That's a good point.
I mean, they did try to a year later. They were like, "Fuck it, we'll make it twice the size and try to kill the guy. Who cares?
We're gonna make it twice as big and throw you off the top of it."
Yeah, but it was like at the time, it would have been like, "Oh my god, he's 6'4", 285, and he's jumping off the top."
Yeah. I mean, this is the era when superplexes were a giant fucking deal, right? And
although they're getting big again, like I said, people pop for superplexes because they went away for a while.
Anybody, an avalanche, anything gets a big pop. I wrote that China looks fucking awesome, and she, like I mentioned, she's been a problem for Mick Foley, so they have the cage, I presume, to keep her out.
Again, the stupid WWF or the Vince policy of escape the cage.
That's my next note.
Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
What do you think about the escape rule? Because in this match, adds a little suspense.
It's added suspense throughout history of like a number of times. I don't like it as just in theory. For a babyface, to the idea to be to escape and evade, it just doesn't, on a fundamental level, doesn't fucking work. I don't want and Mick got around that here by doing a crazy thing, but I don't want Mick Foley trying to get away from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Right. I want him beating the shit out of him, making him submit or something.
And he almost didn't. Yeah, after he did the big thing. So I agree with you. And as a young WWF fan, I never knew there was an option to pin in the cage.
Me neither. And it was that was all of history until then, and I had no idea.
Yeah. So it took me a minute to adjust to it because I had this preference of this version because it's what you learned. What we grew up with. Yeah. But yeah, it's when I went to I went to SummerSlam '94. So that was Brett and Owen in the blue cage for the world title, and how that match ended with Owen caught upside down. Yeah, and then Brett just hopped over. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But if I knew that they could have just been brutalizing each other and then traded sharpshooters in a cage, I'm like, that would have been
as a
way
weapon
better.
Or as a means to do a spot off of it or whatever, and then also done a couple of sharpshooter trade-offs and maybe a jack pin or something. Yeah, that's better. It's just better than watching a guy slowly.
That was the first televised event in the United Center. Me and Sam were there.
You have mentioned.
I'm going to mention it so many more times.
Every time you do, I also have to bring up I saw MJF and CM Punk live, just because then it makes my own ego.
Now let's bring it back to the middle. We saw Chris Jericho.
Yes, we did. We did together. The debut of Chris Jericho.
The debut of Chris Jericho.
Same night that Kane and X-Pac won the tag titles, by the way. So we saw a title change, a major title change on that show as well.
I sent to the group, if you're listening, find it if you want, but there are Kane and X-Pac
Bed sheets.
comforter bed sheet
Like full
sets.
set. Like a full set. Kane and X-Pac.
Oh, man. So the match starts off with Triple H diving to get out of the door immediately.
For the entrances, just before we get in.
Oh, yes.
I have no memory of Triple H coming out to Ode to Joy. Huh? I have none. Yeah. I thought, like, in my memory, when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which he still was here, it was that like, always like that Fox Hunt trumpet music thing that he did when he first debuted the character, and then went right into, like, DX stuff. I had this was like, he is being presented with the Ode to Joy thing, like, Vince clearly sees him as a huge future star with this presentation.
Sure.
And I don't remember it at all. Like,
he was like, he was never there. I never thought he was like on par with the big guys. Like, he was always like on top with the title and always main eventing pay-per-views. I know he was there, but like emotionally to me, I'm like, you're not better than any of these guys.
That's kind of like the punchline, right, of his whole career. That's because he always was. He was always the bridesmaid his entire time.
I mean, that's who did that?
Like,
Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, the Max Landis thing.
Oh yeah.
That's the whole thesis of his thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like through the Shawn and Brett era, and then right through Rock, Stone Cold, like,
always
got leapfrogged by them too, and he was always like trying to be the guy and just always at the top of the card, but not quite the tippy top.
Right.
For his entire goddamn career.
The whole career.
So then he did the next best thing and married into the company, and now he runs the show.
Now he runs the company. Yeah. So right away, we were just bitching about how we don't like seeing the baby faces escape out of the cage. The first thing Triple H does is try to dive out the door. Which is a chicken shit heel move.
I like that.
That
like,
works.
It works. Like this kind of cage match works in that context.
Yes.
For like the chicken shit.
And you can go out the door.
And for teasing, like to open the door. Like if they have a second manager or whatever on the outside, it adds suspense because you could tease that a million times that they're helping them, you know, by opening the door.
Absolutely. Mick Foley at some point just snapped pile driver. It looked fucking brutal.
Yeah.
He is so good. I forgot he was good.
Rules.
I always like kind of glossed over him because I had my other favorites elsewhere because I was a kid, and now I'm watching him here, and it's like I want to watch more of this era Mick Foley shit.
Well, this was it was almost like Stone Cold. Like, this is very near the end of this Mick. Mm-hmm. Like after Hell in a Cell, he was never the same, but like even prior to that, like he had started to decline his in-ring stuff just because he had as Cactus Jack, he killed himself so much.
Yeah.
That like one of my favorite matches of his career, the Vader match, I think it was 3 years prior to this at Halloween Havoc. Just like the bump he takes in that match with Vader, like 400 pounds ass, like splatting on him, that takes years off your life.
Yeah.
But still, he remained awesome through 97. Like, and thankfully, he was like such a great promo and such a smart guy.
Yeah.
He was able to evolve his character and get more over, like, after he was unable to do most of the shit.
That's what the good vets do.
Yeah.
They stop trying to do lion salts and they just get good character work.
Goddamn awesome here.
Yeah. I enjoyed the shit out of his work here. So at one point, China keeps trying to get in the cage, which is probably why the cage exists in the first place. And there's multiple times. The first time, the mandible claw is synced in, and then China climbs on the cage, and like Mick Foley goes to, I think like they stand up and like back up to the cage. I don't remember exactly how, but she wraps her belt around Mick Foley's neck, and then Triple H balls it in his fist and he gives him one punch. Mm-hmm. And that was the end of the belt. That kind of annoyed me. Like, you have a weapon in the cage, you used it one time in the worst way possible. Yeah. Why don't you whip him with it? I thought he was going to whip it, balls it up on his fist.
What everyone's done with a belt in wrestling every time before and after this match.
Ball it up in your fist.
He also doesn't know how to use a sledgehammer, so it tracks.
That's fair. Up and down in a chopping motion. Don't hold the end of it. Like don't put your hand between the person and the metal.
Bones in my hand.
That's okay. He runs the company now. Mankind climbs the cage, gets one leg over. China climbs the cage from the outside, and she punches him square in the balls from the back.
Yes.
It looked fucking terrible.
Like, they went like, like it was a punching bag. I don't know if you've ever been hit in the balls from behind. It's the worst goddamn thing that couldn't possibly happen to you.
I don't. Now that you mention it, I don't think
it's happened to me a few times, like with a basketball. Like it's always sport related.
You got to work on your inbound passes.
It's much. Well, that's what. Like I never get hit balls from the front when I'm playing a sport because I have good hand-eye coordination and I can pay attention. Yeah. From behind, that means that something is happening that I'm not aware of behind me.
You need better. You need better brown eye coordination.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a motherfucker. It's every single time. It's one of those like, oh, everything in my torso now is cramping. Like,
yeah, I look tough. So after Mankind has his freshly punched balls, he's not eager to get off the top of the cage, and Triple H is like, all right, I'm going to go up there, and then takes him a second, but Triple H manages to superplex Mick Foley off the top of the cage, and I like how he took it. He didn't like kick his feet up to get more elevation. They like slinked off.
Yeah,
like and it looked just higher than if you did like a full superplex off a regular top rope.
Mick
it seemed very smart how
being
they
a
did
Terry
this.
Funk guy.
Yeah.
Very much in the school of let's make everything look as real as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means more dangerous. Sometimes it means maybe even a little bit less dangerous here.
But he looked like
more
he
realistic.
dragged his ass off. It wasn't like a performance.
What you would have to do to somebody to superplex him off of.
Yeah. Triple H is about to escape. He could win, but he changes his mind.
Yeah.
Says to close it, and he wants to beat him up more. I'm like,
it doesn't fit the character to me. Maybe later on, Triple H.
He opened the match.
This is Hunter Hearst
diving
Helmsley
for the door.
Yeah,
like a chicken shit.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley brings out a bodybuilder woman to protect him. Guy, yeah. That's what he.
But
is
I want to
at
stay
this
in
point.
and beat him up more.
Mick Foley, this Mankind, the scariest version of the Three Faces.
Yeah,
which he has done. I was kind of surprised by that too. That the Three Faces were already a thing.
When
Three Faces of Foley.
What are you talking about?
He loves it up at the end.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hard.
Yeah.
They play his song.
Yes.
So at this point, now the Triple H is back in. He wants to beat him up more. Mankind's taking brutal cage bumps. I like this the combination of him being willing to do this and the stiffness of this big blue cage. It looked extra tough.
Also, the difference between the number and ferocity of bumps that Mick takes in this match versus Hunter is criminal.
Very lopsided.
It was a good match, but I was halfway in. I'm like, Jesus, Hunter, take one.
Yeah.
Take something. This poor guy is like, I could see years coming off of his life, the bumps he's taken and throwing himself into. And it's unbelievable the job he does here, but like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, he makes...
Do one, Hunter.
Makes Triple H look great.
Yeah, he absolutely does.
I forget who was saying it, but they said like Mick Foley is directly responsible for making, in WWF, Triple H and Shawn Michaels have more of an edge.
Absolutely. Like, a freaking Royal Rumble match where...
and then their the In Your House match that he had when Shawn Michaels was champ. Like, it really gave him an edge, right? So, I mean,
Mick is, like, people consider him an all-timer, still super underrated. He should be in more conversations for greatest of all time. But even though, he was never quite as good in the ring as the very top guys, he was so good at everything else, he should be in those conversations.
I'm enjoying... That's why I like doing these turnbuckle time machines, because you go back and you watch. You're like, how many aha moments did we have with Sting alone?
Absolutely.
We're like, oh my god,
I'm Mr. Nasty Boys now. Who knew?
Nasty Boys.
Legitimately, like, no joke, love the Nasty Boys now.
Yeah, the most underrated tag team ever. Triple H tries to climb in the cage a couple times. Mick Foley catches him a couple times. Chyna gets in another shot to Mankind. So she's just like, this is like you're playing pit fighter and like you can't go too close to the crowd or they just beat you up, right? So Mankind does
I forgot about that.
Pit fighter.
Again, like it was like the precursor to Mortal Kombat, where it was like photographs, but there was only like 4 frames.
The game was hard as fuck.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, he spent thousands of quarters on that and never got past the first level. Cool spot where Mankind has Triple H. He suplexes him like into the cage, and like Triple H holds the top of the cage with his knee like a tree of woe, and then Mick Foley bounces off the ropes and he does like a diving like forearm into him. That looked fucking cool.
Yes. You mentioned the superplex spot, and I forgot to say, I forgot how loud the WWF ring was back then. It like... Not too long after that, they must have really revamped it or changed it or whatever. Because this is like, in this match particularly, it sounded like as loud as the loudest WCW rings that we have seen.
Yeah.
And I don't remember them ever having a ring that was like ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Every bump in this match was like loud as fuck.
Could be modern technology. Like we're watching it back on something different. I don't know.
Like, I know they WWF very, like ND very openly acknowledge and actually take pride in the fact that they they have a different ring. They like the build of their ring is different than everybody else's. They use different stuff in the making of.
Mick Foley goes to crawl through the door. The door's open.
Yeah.
China slams the fucking door in his face.
Again, like Mick.
Why?
Jesus Christ. I mean,
it looked great, but was it necessary?
It made him, at the end of the day, Mick looks like a total badass.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, you don't have to do this.
No.
Like, this was like watching a New Jack match or something.
You could put your hand up.
Something.
Break your hand instead of your face.
Protect yourself or cut half of these bumps. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
That's fair.
Again, 6'4", 285. This is not Darby Allin taking these bumps.
Yeah.
This is a guy my size. Flopping all over the goddamn place. Like, that's rough.
It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch then. I remember being a kid like, this is a little excessive. And now it's like in the era where it's a no-no to do headshots. It's like, this is really fucking excessive.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So after she slams the cage door into Mick Foley's head, she attacks the ref. Ref is down, so she throws a chair in the ring. Triple H goes to pedigree Mick Foley on the chair. While that's happening, Chyna inexplicably is climbing the cage.
Yeah.
But Mick Foley pulls his legs out. Triple H flatbacks onto the chair, and then Mick Foley slingshots Triple H into the cage while knocking Chyna to the crowd. Crowd goes fucking nuts, and then he double arm DDTs Triple H onto the chair. So one of the few chair shots. That
the toughest bump that he takes in the match, but it's like very protected. Mick Foley
head
double arm
nowhere near it
because as much as Mick bumps his ass off for everybody else, every offensive thing he performs in the ring is safe as hell for the person that he's in there with.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
This is a cool sequence.
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed this. Yeah.
I like this whole match. To be honest,
this was not 2.5 stars in my opinion. So Chyna knows her character. She's not out for the rest of the match because of this. No. Right? She gets right the fuck up, crawls into the ring. Mankind is climbing, and Chyna goes to pull Triple H, and then just like abruptly stops and looks like confused because Homegirl forgot that she's coming early because we're going to do this in about 5 minutes. And then she just leaves.
Mr. Spot kind of thing, and then
it was pretty evident. I even wrote like, wait, why isn't she pulling him? It would have made sense here because I forgot the next thing that's coming up. But Mick Foley climbs up and over the cage. He's just got to hop down.
Yeah.
And he takes off his mask, looks back up, and he climbs to the top of the cage.
And it is a callback to a classic thing, but Vince at this point says, they're chanting Superfly. Absolutely zero people are chanting Superfly. Not one person said Superfly except for Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But they're chanting Superfly. And you know that JR is just looking at him like, you're a piece of shit. You suck at this.
Jim Ross is just thinking about barbecue sauce flavors. That's all he can think about.
Well, I sure wish I could talk a little bit here. This fucking asshole won't shut his mouth.
So as the crowd is chanting, air quotes, Superfly, Mick Foley's climbing back to the top of the cage, and he gets to the top, and he rips like his top open. We're supposed to see a red heart.
Yeah.
It has sweat off long ago.
They talk about it like it's very evident that it's now Dude Love. No, and I'm like, not. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's just like he just tore his shirt off.
The reason it's Dude Love is because he jumped off his roof. Remember the vignettes?
Yeah.
And then he was at
the Superfly match, right? When he was a kid. I remember that story being pumped out over and over again. It makes sense. It still doesn't work to say they're chanting Superfly when nobody's saying Superfly.
No. If Vince McMahon was choking on shellfish, would you know the difference if he was doing?
No, I think maybe he's just actually always choking on shellfish. He's
allergic to shellfish?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Mick does the Superfly bump better than Superfly did, by the way.
Of course he did.
That's one of the most overrated spots in wrestling history, in my opinion. Superfly's splash. I know it had never been done prior to that, really. It had been done just like in Mexico, but
they don't.
He like does it's not very high, and he makes it like look not very impactful.
Yeah.
Mick does not take care of himself at all here. He wants it to look great, and that's what he does.
It's like a splash elbow drop. Like I was trying to figure out like how to call it, but like he just lands on Triple H hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
this might have been the toughest bump Triple H took, just because he had to take the brunt of Mick's 280 on him.
It's an iconic visual.
Yeah.
It really, like, they played it forever and ever on television, right?
It got a little bit wiped away when eventually Mick Foley,
about a year later,
did the craziest thing that anybody's ever done outside of New Jack in a wrestling ring, because there's nothing that, like, you after you see that, you look back at this and you're like, oh yeah, like, especially back then. Now looking back, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But when they rolled that Hell in the Cell, those two bumps over and over and over and over again, and it's like this then is like, oh yeah.
Also, we're a couple years away from the TLC trilogies, or the trios matches, and trios matches isn't correct. Triple threat tag team ladder matches, or TLCs, and that just made everything look fucking pointless. Like, that you tried. So, like, with fresh eyes, out of your point.
Well, their actual bumps in those matches weren't anywhere near what Mick was doing to himself, like, physically, but they were so good that they
were just more glamorous.
Like, they were like, oh my God, I've never seen
They
that
were louder.
shit.
There were a lot more senses involved.
They had great chemistry, so they were able to do like those spears in midair that people couldn't really do.
Jeff Hardy especially had great chemistry.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yes.
So the finish saw Mick Foley after he drops the elbow. He's climbing the cage again. Chyna now remembers this is the point where she's supposed to do the pull spot. So she goes in, she grabs Triple H's immobile body and starts dragging him toward the door. Mick Foley's climbing the cage. It's like, who's going to get there first? And it's a race, and Mankind drops, and he wins.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was certain watching this match, because I didn't remember what the result was, that they were going to put Triple H over because he was like one of their guys. Yeah. And especially after the Ode to Joy entrance. This is still fucking...
After the match, after Mankind has climbed out, he doesn't hear his usual win music, because he did have two entrance songs when he was Mankind. I'm sorry, two songs. He had an entrance music, and then he had like lullaby music that played after.
But like the note I had here was, this reminded me of how weird it is every time you watch the Biggest Pop Ever, the Mick Foley title win. They play this like sad boy music while he's celebrating, running around the ring, and it's like, that's what made me think of, like. But
here they play Dude Love's music.
They did both. They played
not right away.
Sad Boy and Dude Love.
Yeah. And Mankind still laying on the ground, but once that Dude Love music hits, his foot starts tapping.
They abandoned the Dude Love as the crazy one. Like, I didn't remember that at all. But like, you reminding me that he did that garage thing when he was a kid. That's why, and it makes sense. But like, for a lot of the Dude Love character moving forward from here, it had nothing to do. It was all just peace and love, baby.
Yeah. They lost it a little bit.
It makes more sense that he's the crazy one. And like, I never liked the Dude Love character because I didn't realize that that's what they were doing. Yeah. It should have stayed that. When he's doing his crazy stuff, it should be that character.
It was also helpful that he wasn't a successful pro wrestler that made the Dude Love character good, but like, he's already had two successful gimmicks on national television already.
True, that's true.
He's introducing a third one where, it's a guy that he's kind of nuts. He can't really make it. It's like, well, he's made it twice.
Yeah.
Differently in different countries and different companies.
And then when he does bring back Cactus Jack for that, people fucking pop like
fucking ballistic.
Insanity.
Go ballistic. And then he's doing the Dude Love mannerisms, like the disco dances on the way out, which also, guess who taught him how to physically, visually look like Dude Love? Right here. They practiced these moves.
Michael PSAs?
Vince McMahon.
Oh, you know what? I've seen the Slammies. I should not be super surprised. Over the top
he was
dancing.
Training Mick Foley how to act like Dude Love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he did think that he knew better than anybody about everything. So.
I mean, it just tracks. It's just more of that.
By the way, I gave this match 3.75 stars, so quite a bit higher than Dave Meltzer's.
It was super snug. Just a good, hard-hitting match, man.
One guy took all the punishments, which kind of bothered me. Yeah. And then, like you said, there was the one weird Chyna, just timing thing.
Yeah.
But, like, the guy that took all the punishment got the win, and it was the babyface win, and I liked that a lot, especially because I really thought that Hunter was going to win here. I did not understand the Dude Love stuff in context, like out of context. Like later on in context, I'm like, okay, now I understand they were doing that thing with that character.
Yeah.
They just kind of abandoned later. So it did make sense. It just didn't make sense to me watching it here.
Right.
But I didn't dock it anything or whatever.
Yeah.
It was very, very good match to me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Especially for the era.
Also, too, he's currently Dude Love and Stone Cold tag team champions.
I remember they were tag champs. It was at this time.
They won it on July 14th, 1997.
That's way earlier than I would have. So much shit happened in 97 that
what I'm saying.
my brain says was 98, 99.
That's when he's like, ow!
Yeah.
You never said anything about Dude Love.
Yeah.
Which begged the question, when I thought that, why didn't he wear, like he had the Dude Love gear. July comes before August. This is in 1997, right? July 14th, 1997. Dude Love and Stone Cold are tag team champions. Why didn't he put like his tie-dye shirt on under his fucking thing instead of...
That would have been much clearer what was going on.
Than the super faded heart.
Yeah, the sweated off heart.
Yeah. Also, why is he still competing as Mankind at this point? I gotta go, I gotta do some revisiting, but...
The three faces of Foley really should have been Mankind, Mick, and Cactus Jack.
Well, they were.
But they considered Dude one of the three faces because Foley himself was not a face of Foley.
I clearly just listened to what you said.
But it should have been like his normal I'm a person is Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Plus these three funny guys. And stuff. Plus Mankind, which is the unhinged guy.
Yeah.
Plus Cactus Jack, who is the I will do anything to win a match guy.
Right.
Because that's what he was. He was the guy taking the bumps.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to have Cactus Jack being the guy taking the bumps than Dude Love.
Yeah.
Even with the footage of him as a child.
Also, too, I don't know how much cachet you can get out of Dude Love.
Exactly. Cactus Jack is a pretty goddamn awesome name.
Yeah.
You can go far with that one.
Like you scratched all the dangerous ones already. Mankind, super dangerous. Cactus Jack, super dangerous. Like Dude Love, like what? Another super dangerous?
I'm more willing to jump off of high things.
Yeah, I guess. Also, too, speaking of high things, cage match opened the show.
Yeah.
That was kind of different.
Well, I mean, the idea is to open with something that's going to be hot, right?
Yeah.
And this was
also, too,
good match and a cage match.
There's really nowhere else you could put it.
Yeah.
Because this was a very heart-centric... it wasn't even tagged. SummerSlam Heart and Soul.
Heart Foundation fucking ruled at this point. I totally forgot Brian Pillman was in the Heart Foundation.
Yeah.
Well,
he's from Cincinnati. They put the guys in. Up next, we had Todd Pettengill with Governor Christy Todd Whitman, who came out with Gorilla Monsoon and the Headbangers.
Yeah. It reminds me, by the way, this was Michael Cole's first WWF pay-per-view.
He was 30 years old. Yeah. 30-year-old, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Michael Cole. Huge boos when the governor gets announced. Wow, she is not liked in New Jersey.
When has there ever been a politician on a sporting event or wrestling show that comes out and doesn't get fucking booed out of the goddamn building? Why did they do that? Like, they still do it at sports stuff.
Yeah.
They stopped doing it at wrestling shows, after this, I think. But it never turns out well for the politician. I know that she's like the reason they were able to, but that she should have known that would not matter.
I don't think I don't think she did know, and I think she wanted her phrase that's getting really overused lately. She wanted her flowers.
Yeah,
getting a little tired of everybody getting their fucking flowers. By the way,
I'm
give them their flowers.
It's been cut from my personal lexicon. I will not use it anymore. Said it. Too many people.
Conan said it when he inducted Rey Mysterio in the Hall of Fame. Like, he used it correctly.
Yeah,
and like the first time, and now it's just give him his flowers. Give him his flowers. Like, no, you're not as cool as Conan.
It's one
Conan
of those things that like
that's it.
You barely ever heard it ever your whole life. And then one day, the whole world decided they were going to use it once a day.
Yeah.
So I'm no.
That's a lot of flowers. Aren't cheap.
Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot of flowers.
You would have to spend a lot of goddamn money to give all the flowers that the people that say that want you to give.
Also, too, I don't see anybody holding flowers.
No,
and for as many flowers that are being handed out, you would think there'd be fucking beauty queens walking around.
Even the King of the Ring, you'd think you get some roses or something.
No flowers.
No flowers.
No flowers. But they don't give her flowers, she being the governor.
They give her booze like Don Callis.
They give her booze and an honorary WWF championship belt, to which she says, I'm going to defend this.
Every single time somebody gets an honorary championship belt, I get pissed off. And I'm like, you don't appreciate what you're being given. Because that's fucking awesome. It's a real metal one, and I would kill for it.
That was the
and
Winged
they're real
Eagle
expensive,
one, too.
And it's the Winged Eagle.
Yeah.
And this bitch probably never looked at it again after she got off the stage.
No. She did have a handler, probably, or one of the guys that works on her campaign that just loves wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hope she passed it on to somebody who appreciated what it was.
We both know she didn't.
It's a goddamn winged eagle.
No, she sold it when she was out of politics to fucking make a rent payment. She's probably super successful now.
Well, yeah, no, I was thinking she just left it. Like, she put it up in whatever office she happened to be in at this time.
Yeah.
And then whenever she moved on or up or whatever and left that office, she just left it there.
I worked at a company that I hated that closed an entire, like, they didn't close it. They consolidated and they moved teams from different floors. And one floor was full of salespeople one time. And half of them were fired because they restructured, right?
Companies are great.
Yeah. That's why I don't work there anymore. That's one of the reasons. But people left behind a bunch of shit. Like, I found like a hardcover, what's that Motley Crue book, The Dirt or whatever?
Oh, they made the movie out of it.
I found a hardcover. I found a bunch of shit. I also found a Justin Timberlake circa 2000 bobblehead.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I bet it's worth something.
Yeah, I gave it away, but I think I gave it
I still want them to use Grab Your River, goddammit.
Yeah, they want some oversight. If they're going to pay that much for music, do it at least once. Next, we had Brian Pillman, the loose cannon Brian Pillman versus Goldust, who was out with Marlena. Went 7 minutes and 17 seconds.
This was a 0.5 according to Dave Meltzer.
No.
Which, what the fuck, Dave? Yeah, there was a botchy finish.
It was fine.
It was like a mid-level Brian Pillman Goldust match. We know what those guys are.
Yeah.
Like, they're middle. That's what this was.
Yep.
Which is a good match.
Yeah.
It was with a botchy end.
It was serviceable.
Yeah.
The stip of this match, because I don't think we mentioned this at the top of the show, the Hart Foundation has all entered into voluntary stipulations for reasons.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Unclear.
Brett's got the only good one.
Yeah.
But like the other ones are so wishy-washy, and we'll go through them as we go through them. But in this one, Brian Pillman says if he loses, he has to wear a dress tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. Why? Who gives a shit?
I don't know. I mean, I know the Goldust like cross-dressing thing. I have no fucking idea why it was a stipulation.
No, I think he voluntarily. And when I say why, yes, I get why that makes sense because of what you said. But
thematically, but I don't understand why.
Yeah, why did he determine
Why did he agree to that?
I think he is the one that suggested it. That's the thing. Because I remember him an episode of Monday Night Raw. Because also too,
like if I can't beat you, I'll wear a goddamn dress, kind of thing.
Yes.
Well, he's loose cannon.
Because one of the stipulations, I remember this Monday Night Raw.
He brandish a gun shortly after this.
One of the episodes of Monday Night Raw I remember vividly as a child is when the Hart Foundation came out and they said all the stipulations for this pay-per-view. And then Jim Neidhart, who is obviously absent because he would have had a bad time here.
Your alarm is malfunctioning.
Well, he's not on the pay-per-view, so he's not here. I can't notify you of his presence. If anyone in the Hart Foundation lost a match, he would shave his goatee off.
Oh, yeah. They mentioned it, I think.
They mentioned it, and guess what never fucking happened?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, a lot of L's in this fucking in this faction tonight. But
yeah, they did. You're right. They did in this match alone, right? Doesn't Goldust go over?
They should have shaved Jim Neidhart right away.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's paying off your shit, assholes. Yeah. Also, the dress they bring out as the dress that Pillman's going to have to wear. Yeah. There's no fucking way on earth he's going to fit into that woman size 2 dress that they have out at the side of the ring. I'm like, Brian Pillman was an NFL player. He's not fitting into a ladies 2. No,
he's just going to run. He's going to run laps wearing garbage bags all night. But before we get to this match, we see in the crowd Tiger Jeet Singh and Tiger Ali Singh. Yeah. Remember when they shoved him down her fucking throat?
I certainly do.
He won the Kuwaiti Cup. Remember that?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Also, too, big old beach party earlier.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not doing this out of order. They announced that the match is next, and then they chose to tell us all this shit before the match.
There's a bunch of weird disjointy shit in this show. Like, we'll get to it, but like, we're coming off of Governor or whatever the fuck, and then we're getting all this other shit that you're like, right after that. Like, these things should have been peppered between matches.
Yes.
And then they do another thing that goes on for fucking ever that I don't you never in a million years would see on the WWE pay-per-view at any point after this.
They should never show their real fans like that ever again.
Oh my God. And it goes on for an eternity.
Oh, I timed it. Don't worry. It went longer than many matches on the show. But the beach party, they say there's estimated 15 to 20,000 people, and it was really just like a big old stage on the beach, and it seemed like a good time. Pillman's intro music is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is. Well, everything about Pillman's pretty goddamn awesome. I just kept thinking, like, man, what a giant star this guy was about to become.
Yeah. Stay out of vehicles, sir. Yeah. Also, too, this match, like I said, not a great match, not terrible match.
They didn't have awesome chemistry, but it's still Goldust and Brian Pillman.
And the match came together literally 6 days prior on Monday Night Raw.
I guess it would have, because they show in the pre-match that's like the announcement, but they really didn't build shit.
No. This was a 2-match pay-per-view.
Yeah,
you can maybe 3 if you want to count the opener.
I went 2.5 here, so yeah, I guess that's lower than what I would consider a good match, but definitely not like a shit stain 0.5. I don't know what that is.
At no point did was I disgusted for watching it or like ugh.
Yeah, no.
Can't wait till this is over
or something. I was waiting for something horrible to happen.
Yeah, and
nothing. It was like a kind of a botchy finish.
Yeah.
You see that once a week on TV, across time in wrestling. I had no idea. No, this one, I mean, all the half-star reviews he gave didn't make any goddamn sense. This one made the least sense to me because it was just like it's a match. It was what you expect from these two guys on the low end. It was like not the best they could have, obviously, because that's like 4 stars or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's on the low end of what these two very good workers can offer you, which is like 2.5 stars. It's like,
so there were 3 half-star matches, you said?
3, yeah.
What's the worst match in your opinion on the show?
Los Barriquas.
So this, by how much relative to this?
That wasn't a match to me. And this was like just a fine match.
Yeah, okay.
So
wait. So
very different.
Both are not.
And I still even would not have given the Los Barriquas thing 0.5 because they didn't do anything offensive to me as a fan of the sport or professional wrestling or whatever. Like, that's what you reserve 0.5 stars for, generally. Even him, generally.
Yeah.
And that was just like a stupid brawl, which is usually 1 star or 1.5, which is, I think,
at least 1.
Yeah.
Not a half. He gives Maxine Dupree better numbers than this, right?
Yeah.
You know, and she's learning. She's not bad. She's learning. No. Like, it's unfair to say when people are learning that they're bad. But so my notes for this match is Goldust gives Brian Pillman a big old smooch, and his makeup is all over. Goldust makeup is all over Brian Pillman's face for a while. Yeah. That tickled me.
Yeah.
And
I like that Pillman was willing to do that stuff too. Like, I loved everything. Pillman's character was going to be so great.
I also, very importantly, JR lets us know that we can listen to Mankind, Triple H, and China if we select option 5 on the Superstar hotline.
Yeah, he gets to sneak that in there between fucking Big Mouth yelling nonsensical garbage.
I'm surprised Vince didn't say it. Like being all the
plug? Like, he'll give the plug to JR.
Yeah.
Not the actual calling of the match, which would have made the match probably 20% better if it was JR just calling it.
Oh, you mean the guy that used to call both of them in WCW and knows them intimately?
And is the greatest wrestling announcer in the history of the game.
Pre like medical
pre-Bell's palsy.
Right?
Like,
so he's like still spry.
He's a veteran, but before health issues.
Did
so like probably the best he's ever going to be. Like,
I spry correctly there, right?
Yeah. Still like, got spring and step. That's spry.
Yeah. You know, that was all the notes I had for the match. The end saw Goldust, as we mentioned, the botch. He botches a sunset flip. But Brian Pillman gets to the ropes. Marlena hits Brian Pillman with her purse. He falls backwards, and Goldust sunset rolls up Brian Pillman for the win.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Botchy, like I said, botchy finish, but some good character stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of the match was basic, but absolutely fine.
Yeah, it was fine. And then after the match,
crowd wasn't super into it, but
no, it's fine.
Fine, absolutely fine.
Pillman rips the dress up that he's supposed to be wearing tomorrow on Raw.
No way he could possibly fit into anyway.
He was stretching it out.
Yeah,
forget his gams.
Maybe he got it prepared for bringing it in for alterations.
He's working the fabric. Yeah. We had the Godwins versus the Legion of Doom.
The Godwins, who the Legion of Doom broke one of their necks with the goddamn. I thought it was a story thing at first, but then I looked and it was like, no, they refused to take the move in this match because they had very recently broken Henry Godwin's neck with the Doomsday device, which then made me think about, in retrospect, is a pretty goddamn dangerous move. Of course, because everybody landed on their head. I never thought about it until this match.
No, like that's why we loved it so much.
Yeah,
it looks like amazing. An actual murder.
But yeah, every single person lands on their head.
Yeah. That was on April 26th of this year.
Yeah.
And we are now in August. So Henry
how's he wrestling?
That's what my next question is going to be. How the fuck is he up moving?
His big demand is don't do the same move again that broke my neck.
Yeah.
How about take a year off, dude? Yeah. I mean, technically, he only wrestled a few matches after this, and it did end his career. Yeah. The broken neck. But how are you in the ring here? Wrestling a pretty goddamn hard hitting match.
Yeah. I would have liked if Austin and Dude Love did not have the tag titles right now. It seems to clutter those up a little because this is now the third tag team if you include the Headbangers coming out.
Yeah.
But give somebody something else to do.
Yeah. Or a tag team.
Yeah.
An actual tag team?
Yeah.
Like goddamn Legion of Doom?
Yeah, that would have been nice.
It's the Legion of Doom. They should be, the whole time you're either on your roster, be the champs. If you have no idea what to do with, always your fallback should be those guys. Road Warriors or Legion of Doom, whatever company they're in. They should be the champs.
I agree.
Because they're the most over tag team. Always. I did note also, too, that it's not Iron Man, but their WWF theme music fucking ruled as well.
Of course
it was great. Yeah. It can't be Iron Man. Nothing can be as good as when they did the Iron Man thing. And Vince never wanted to license music, but this was a pretty good substitute for Iron Man. Yeah. It's one of my favorite metal entrance, wrestling entrance themes ever. I think.
I agree. Yeah, I don't remember ever being songs
yeah, like Braun Breaker's current theme.
Is it bad?
It's like a jobber metal, in a WWE video game, music number one that you pick for your creative guy. That's what his music is.
Okay, well, he's outworking his music very well.
Yeah.
I did note that the Scorpion Death Drop in 1997 WWF is called the Slop Drop.
Yeah,
forgot about that. And
the guy who wins their pigs and all that. The whole thing.
I couldn't tell by the Confederate flag stitched on them, but that's apparently still okay.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa!
I don't think it was yeah. It was you can get away with it, but there's a good portion of the country at that, even back in 97, that would have been like, fuck that. What the fuck?
No. I love when people make the argument. They're like, it's history. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't wear. I mean,
the Nazis are history too.
You can't wear those.
They're not wearing swastikas around.
No. I didn't have many notes for the match. Basically, that's just a Legion of Doom match. It went slightly longer than it maybe could have, since they were just brawling with each other.
I thought they hit pretty hard. It's a Godwin. That's all they're going to be able to do, really. Yeah. And I went 275 on this one. Yeah. Again, on much higher than Meltzer. Half a goddamn star for a LOD match, like a regular
with a
LOD
spike
match.
Pile driver finisher.
Yeah, they had to change the finish because Henry Godwin didn't want to take the broken neck.
They teased it
again. Yeah, but I read that was a pre-match agreement.
Good.
Please don't do the move that you almost killed me with.
It's weird that people have pre-match agreements and they follow through with them.
Yeah.
Because that's not a consistent thing on this show.
Not on this show. Not a couple of matches from now.
Did you notice that Henry O. Godwin and Phineas, whatever Godwin, their initials are Hog and Pig?
Yeah.
Yes. It's adorable. Also, Captain Lou Albano's at the show.
Why is Captain Lou at the show, but a fan that they barely mention? He's just there in the front row yelling shit. He's enough that it's very obvious that Captain Lou's there, but not enough that it's very obvious that Captain Lou's hired to be there. So I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe he was just there and oh no, Captain Lou's here.
Like Enzo tried to do a few years ago, just get himself on and over again. to try to get a job. It is pretty funny now that I think about it that the guy that broke his neck requested that you change your finish just because you just broke my neck, and the thing they changed it to was a goddamn pile driver.
But on his buddy. It wasn't on him.
Yeah, but still.
Hey, don't do it to me.
Still,
you can fuck him up all
it's a
you
pile
want.
driver. Like,
They go to pick up,
but an actually well-executed pile driver as opposed to what we see.
Yeah. A safe one, at least. But yeah, they go to pick up Henry O'Godwin, and Phineas shoves him away, and then he's a stuck pile driver. It was fine. Yeah. It was an LOD match.
It's like, again, LOD matches have a floor, and that floor is much higher than half a star.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
This next thing.
Oh, my Christ.
It went 8 minutes.
I felt like I was having a goddamn conniption fit.
What did this go
hallucinating
longer?
Or something.
This went longer than
some weird
two matches.
Fungus got into my drinking water or something. Like, what's going on?
This went longer than 2 matches on the show.
Yeah.
So what they did is
felt like longer than the whole rest of the show combined.
It was long. Yeah.
Beyond this nonsense.
It was long. It was some kind of $1 million contest where you could have sent in to be picked to potentially win $1 million. And the way it works is they have a giant board, and it's the logo, and the way they shape the logo is each there's like a bunch of squares. Think about like Post-its, how you make art with Post-its, but these are all little baggies numbered from 1 to 100, and each little baggie is a key. And next to that is a giant coffin, because apparently if anything's a case in this company, it's got to be a big fucking coffin.
It's a coffin that it doesn't tie in to, because it's not a coffin match.
The only way I can square it is because the pay-per-view is Heart and Soul. Heart, Soul? I don't know.
Boy, that's a stretch.
You got a better one?
No, I don't think they do either, though. Like, it's fucking... And, like, you're doing a real nice job describing what it is. Yeah. But it is as boring as that sounds, too. Like, Jesus Christ.
We're just getting started.
Yeah.
So in this coffin is... it's a glass top. Right? Glass top, I believe.
No.
Oh, it wasn't
because I didn't think they were going to open it at all.
Okay. So when they do open it, it's filled with stacks of $1 bills, which apparently makes up $1 million.
That doesn't matter because nobody fucking... spoiler alert.
Damn it, Sully. Damn it.
There's no fucking payoff.
No.
On a wrestling show that you fucking script.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Just lie.
No. So what they do is first they introduce Ryan Chaddock. He's a 12-year-old from Liverpool, New York, who's a kid. It's great. They show him, like, they spend a lot of time showing this kid traveling with his family.
Yeah.
And then they show scumbag Patrick Stevenson from Lafayette, Indiana. This guy
sells meth.
Oh, boy. He does not. He samples his own supply, for sure. And he's kind of a dick. Like, they're like, oh, you're going to go for the Stone Cold look? He's like, yeah, it's kind of what I was going for, but I was doing this a little bit beforehand, too. It's like, shut the fuck up and
relax.
pick a key.
You're not cutting a promo, dude. You're wasting time on this pay-per-view.
Also sponsored, the board itself with all the keys, sponsored by Discovery Zone. Forgot Discovery Zone.
Giant DZ logo up there.
Went to many a birthday party at Discovery Zone. And yeah, they pick, so we have the two guys, and if they pick they pick from 1 to 100, and if the key is successful, it opens the case.
This is more fucking convoluted than like a 1992 point-and-click adventure game. It is so fucked up. It's great, and this is just the first half. We have the whole phone conversation.
I'm not
fucking bullshit.
They didn't even tell us.
So it's unbelievable. This people listening to this are going to be like, you're making this fucking shit up. There's no way they did this in the middle of a pay-per-view.
You know what would make it better if we were to make it up? Sonny and Sable are out there in bondage gear pretty much.
Yeah, Sonny, who's like super into it and very high, and Sable like uncomfortable. Yeah. And then, but obviously has a very good heart, because when the little kid like starts crying and they do a close-up on his little kid face, being disappointed, her immediately is like, oh, console this kid. Sonny's like, I don't give a fuck. Show my titties more.
She's very. I was trying to think. I wrote somewhere. Oh, I said Sonny being the opposite of kind to Chris Candido during this whole. Like I think they're together because she shows up in ECW like soon. Right?
Yeah.
So like we just covered that, I believe.
Yes, we did.
So she's not. She's probably not being the kindest here, because also Shawn Michaels was not being very kind here. So I think this all...
Yeah. She gets pissed off at one point at... it's Pettengill, right? Hosting this thing?
Todd, yes. The only man who could.
He accidentally holds his sheet, his paper in front of her tits, and she shoots him daggers with her eyes and rips it down to make sure that her cleavage is still showing.
Which can't be seen by the camera, really. It's just for Todd. But
but she does it.
When an opportunity arises, we have to make sure there's eyeballs on him. So Ryan Chaddick picks number 52, and then Trash Ball Patrick Stevenson picks number 13. Of course he does.
Yeah.
If he could have picked Monster Energy as a number, he would have picked that.
Is the only other. Yes.
God, he loves motocross.
100%. He has testicles on his truck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Unironically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Like
on
he
his
thinks
truck, you're
thinks
right.
it's badass.
The truck he can't
Not like
afford.
on a Civic because it's funny or whatever. No, like F-250 that he's like 8 months behind on payments for. He's got truck nuts.
He has a beer fridge in a different part of his property.
Yeah.
It's not even in his house.
Absolutely. Yes,
you have to go to the beer fridge by the fire pit. And his archery deer. He's got an archery deer. I know he does.
He's got a rack with the fucking
like a practice one.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all discolored from being outside.
Loves fireworks, like home fireworks, like I crossed the border to Indiana.
And you know what?
He gets super dangerous ones.
He gets the best ones.
Yeah,
and he tells everyone, I get the best ones.
Talks about it all year long.
Lucky number 13. I hated this guy. Also, too, so they're showing these two traveling, and then they're just like, oh, by the way, there's 3 more people that are in it, but they're just on the phone. Like, they just call them.
Which, they call them, and evidently they weren't expecting the fucking phone calls either, except for the plant at the end. The obvious plant was the last one.
And that's the thing, like, I was watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire not too long ago, and it's like the Regis Philbin one from like forever ago.
Yeah.
And like when they do the phone a friend, there's an obvious jump from, all right, let's call so-and-so. And then everyone, when they jump back to the next, their body language is different because time has gone by.
Because they're trying to get a hold of this person.
But also, too, like, I think they say, like, hey, by the way, sign this to make sure you're going to be at home or something.
Yeah.
Like, they're not fucking around. It's national television. You would think
they do something like that
something
here?
like to
do some prep work?
Prep the people.
Not just go to, like, let the phone ring for 4 years?
They eat their dick a couple times on this one. So they call 3 people. The first time, no one answered.
Which I popped for that. I'm like, fucking beautiful. That's perfect. We're like 45 minutes into this bit, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, at this point. So I'm just like, oh, beautiful.
For how
nobody
much
answers.
We're talking, it's shorter than the duration.
Way shorter.
Yeah. The first person, no one answers. And Todd Pettingill's like, they're not home. Like, he's doing his best to save the fucking thing. The second call,
which is absolutely unsalvageable.
No, because the second time, not only does no one answer, the phone's disconnected. It's a disconnected phone number.
Yeah. Which is like the only thing that could have been better than nobody answering. Yeah. Is it's not even a fucking real.
I made a mistake. They didn't call 3 people. They called 4 fucking people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because the plant was the The
third call was Michael Simmons. They say, "Are you watching right now?" He's like, "No, I'm not watching."
I'm not. He kind of saved it because it was like, oh, my cable provider or whatever, but it's so beautiful. When you watch SummerSlam, nah.
And you could hear like Vince kind of like you could tell.
Like, you booked it, you stupid fucker.
So he chooses number 33. And they open it right away. Mind you, there's 2 physical people there that have chosen keys, and they have not given them the chance yet. Which I was kind of with you on this one, where I'm like, one of these little bastards has to be the correct one. They're teeing us up for
of course
a nice
they
celebration,
are.
Right? And then it doesn't work. So then Todd Pettingill goes through, but Vince on commentary goes that he wins a $5,000 savings bond anyway.
Yeah.
And then they have to keep saying that over and over. And then Todd Pettingill,
which I think they just like Vince just added right there because he was like, this shit's going fucking south.
A savings bond?
Yeah, seriously.
There's $5,000 you can't touch for a long time.
$5 right now. That's $5,000 when you're 50. Like, yeah.
Sign something and send it to me. It's better than that.
Yeah. Have Stone Cold sign my goddamn T-shirt, buddy. Right. Give me a replica belt like you gave the asshole governor. Right. I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah. The fourth call goes to Rebecca Cohen. You
mean like Hacksaw Jim Duggan's cousin or whoever like works in the office for WWE? Because that is very clearly what's happening here.
It's Hacksaw Jim Cohen. It's a Cohen. She chooses number 14, doesn't work. She gets a $5,000 savings bond. Anyway, now we get to the meat of of the real main event here, which is Ryan Chaddock.
Yeah.
Little boy who goes first, which I thought was rude.
Fucked up.
Yeah, let the meth head go first. Yeah. His key doesn't work.
Because I don't want to cheer for the meth head.
No, he's the last one. So the little boy's key doesn't work.
And he immediately is very distraught because he's a little kid, and they like zoom way in on the poor kid's face. Yeah. Back the fuck off. He's like 10 years old.
Sable did the right thing here. She gave him a big ass,
like a human.
Yeah, big hug. And he's smiling from ear to ear. And Todd Pettingale's like, you don't know it now, buddy, but that's worth more than $1 million.
Yeah.
It is not.
No.
And then up next we have Patrick Stevenson. His key doesn't work.
I cheered for that one.
Yeah,
Didn't want him winning shit.
And then Sonny just kind of like subtly embraces him from behind, like gives him a back, like friend hug. And then some lurch looking motherfucker comes out.
Smelled super strong, like Dracar or Cool Water or some popular late 90s like
smells like
sprayed on the outs because it was pre-body spray.
It's whatever dip he spit out before the fucking thing started.
That too.
Yeah. I don't know dip brands, but it's that.
I was thinking in lieu of shower cologne type of guy.
Yeah. No.
Of that era.
Dracar Noir would be the way to go.
Dracar, I think would be the. So that's why she was like, nah.
Yeah. I forgot about Cool Water. I still got a bottle of that.
I like Cool Water. I have like. I think I currently have body spray that's Cool Water scented.
We got
because Snoop Dogg told me it was cool, and I believed him, and it stuck.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
We got to get you into a contest where you can win $1 million. You'll fit right in. And then, like I was saying, some guy that resembles Lurch shows up, and he's like, "Oh, number 3. It was number 3."
Yeah, he just walks out. He's
I don't know who he is.
6'8" for some reason, and they're like, "I guess he's the accountant or something." They don't really explain it, and then it's just, "It was 3 fuckers."
Yeah.
So
also,
show them the ones.
Why would you, if 2 human beings are physically there, and you are letting 2 more people call? Yeah. If I'm Ryan Chaddock, I have a 1% chance of winning this contest. Why wouldn't you have 20 cases? Why wouldn't you have 10? Or, make me believe a little bit.
It's a fucking wrestling show.
Gimmick it up.
Fix it.
Gimmick it
Just rig it.
Yeah.
It does. You don't even have to give him the money.
Yeah.
It could be like Vince's nephew. Fucking... You're putting it on TV. I paid for this in theory.
Yeah, that's true too.
Jesus Christ.
Like when Homeboy won the tag titles with Braun Strowman, he was like, what was his name? The 12-year-old.
Yeah, he was like a ref's nephew.
Yeah, he's
or
related
kid
to
or
somebody
something.
in the business. Yeah,
do one of those.
That's
stupid.
Better. That's better.
It's like wrestling. It's the one place where it's fine to do that. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
I
didn't even think of that.
Much better than 45 minutes of like Sonny trying to get her boobs on TV, basically, and nothing else of note besides me realizing this table is probably kind of a sweet person.
Yeah, Sonny's owns a lot of glitter. I learned that as well. Can't wait for her to manage the Legion of Doom in about a year. It's gonna be great. The outfit was cool, but not the pairing. Up next, this pairing was pretty fun because it reminded me more things I forgot about 1997, which was Ken Shamrock was a fucking murderer.
Beast. He was a beast.
It was the European Championship match.
It was very over, too.
The British Bulldog versus Ken Shamrock went 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Just a reminder, the $1 million thing went 8 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah.
So, the European title gets less time than this horseshit fucking.
This was just prior to bootcut tucked in jeans. Bulldog too. So we got Bulldog, Heart Foundation Bulldog in good gear. Too.
Absolutely. So the way this match came together, and I'm pretty sure it came together on Monday Night Raw as well, as did all these fucking matches.
This one was the prior.
Well, they had an arm wrestling match on Raw.
It's SummerSlam, for Christ's sake. It's not in your house, like.
And
this is 2 out of 3 shows we've done, by the way, that has an arm wrestling gimmick.
Yeah. All the best pay-per-views have arm wrestling gimmicks and $1 million contests and
hour-long $1 million
and governor interviews.
Governor Don Callis.
I tell you what, though, I was looking at the roster in 1997.
Yeah.
I would have put the governor on the fucking show too. It was top heavy. Below.
I was gonna say, well, they had Stone Cold before he got hurt. Even like the greatest Stone Cold ever. But top heavy.
It's tough. We can. I have a poll.
Was Rocky Maivia even there yet?
Fuck it. I think I have it. Where did I put it?
Is there D'Lo? Was D'Lo floating around anywhere?
I think I closed it. I don't want to. waste more time looking for it. Yeah, D'Lo was in Nation of Domination.
So D'Lo could have been on the show.
D'Lo could have been. D'Lo kind of was on the show, but anyway. So they had they being British Bulldog and Ken Shamrock had an arm wrestling contest on Monday Night Raw. Shamrock was about to win, and Bulldog headbutted him, and then he hit him very recklessly with an upside down chair. He wasn't holding it like by the feet; he was holding it by where your back goes.
Yeah,
and he hit him a lot. And then he poured a can of dog food on Ken Shamrock's face. This match literally came together 6 days ago.
I guess I wasn't paying attention to when. I thought that shit had been going on over like months or something when they showed the recap because it's SummerSlam.
Fair is fair. It could have been, but the fact that we have to question it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the shit I say about AEW with, like, tell me who the announcers' names are. Put a date on the Raw that I know when to look at. And then the British Bulldog in one of the unrequired stipulation says if he loses his European championship, he will eat a can of dog food.
Yeah.
Cares.
It's a bunch of stupid stipulations that also don't get paid off. No. Like, none of them get
the
paid
dress
off.
does. That's about it.
Yeah. Super.
I feel as strong. Remember when they would used to, like, fight for, like, $10,000?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, but at least there it was like, okay, whatever. That's a story thing. This, like, I don't care. And I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like, at least I'm not pissed at the $10,000 bonus or whatever. It's just, okay, that's kind of a weak story thing to do. Eating a can of dog food, I'm like, what the fuck?
You know, it's a really good stipulation.
You think I'm stupid. That's what you're telling me, show.
Oh.
You think I'm an idiot. And I want to see something, he's going to have to eat dog food. Like,
Patrick Stevenson from Lafayette, Indiana, in the prior
I'm
segment
sure he's super into
fucking
it.
loving
super
this.
Into it.
I hope it's the kind. Hey, it's the kind that we feed our dog.
Yeah.
No, don't.
Old Roy, definitely Old Roy. That's the Walmart brand. That is 100% what that guy feeds his dog. I think shortens your dog's life by 4 years.
Bulldog's gonna eat it, but I'm telling you, stop talking. Bulldog's gonna eat the food. No, not Shamrock. Bulldog eats the food.
What? Stop yelling at me. You need to get to work. Go do something.
I gotta see how this pays off. I called young Roy. He's gonna help me with my shift.
I'm gonna call your brother over. I'm gonna have him real me silky.
Please don't do this again. We have a whole backstory. We met him. He's going to be on the podcast in the future. I don't think he's alive
He's
anymore.
definitely not alive. If he's alive, he's like in a wheelchair, speaking with it like blowing into a tube.
Yeah, he made
because
it
of
himself
some decision he made that led him to that.
It involved an M80 in his thumbs. You know what else? It's a really good stipulation for this match besides dog food? The
fucking European title?
Correct.
maybe, yeah. Give a shit about that?
And this is a new thing. He's the first guy to hold it, and it's a new...
So they cared about as much about the European title then as they do about the Speed title currently?
No, they cared about it a lot because there was an ad before this match started that coming up on September 20th, we have one night only in Birmingham, England, and it's the British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels for the European title.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, now we are in...
For the European title, that means less than a can of dog food.
But at this time, yes. When you say that in a full sentence, that is what I'm true to believe. But they made this European title seem like a giant fucking deal out of the gate.
Well, you're supposed to. It's a title.
But it kind of it telegraphs the finish a little bit because we know British Bulldog's going to go to England with the title.
Yeah.
Also, too, made me look at... Because I'm like, I think Shawn Michaels won it then, and then what else did Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels had one of the best fucking years in wrestling history this year.
Yeah.
So he won the European title, and spoiler alert, if we ever cover one night only, he won the WWF title twice from Sid and Bret Hart. He won the tag titles with Stone Cold, and they beat Owen and the Bulldog. He won the first ever Hell in a Cell match. He had a career-altering match with Mankind, as we mentioned, and he had the first pay-per-view match with Steve Austin at King of the Ring.
You might remember, Dave, at the top of the show, I mentioned that I believe that Vince McMahon sucked his dick at least once. This is why I believe that.
Yeah.
Because he loved that man
It was
so much.
so stacked. So stacked. But this match, not as much stacked, just brutal.
Brutal, very brutal.
Yeah.
And more brutal after it was over. to be honest.
Which we don't even have to. I did write one note for the match. British Bulldog is a guy who passionately supports nepotism because he is not up to snuff with being at the position he is in the company.
No, it's a bummer because he used to be an absolutely wonderful wrestler.
Used to be good,
like great. When he was super young, he was great. I still got to show you the footage of him when he was like 20 and doing like Bryan Danielson shit. It's amazing. But even after he got all swole, he was pretty awesome for a long time. Not here.
No.
I'm almost positive this was a pretty heavy substance abuse situation for Davey Boy, like right at this time in his life. And then when he got himself sober, that was the Jeans era. Like he came back and he got a little bit better in the ring during the Jeans era, post the substance things. My biggest note was the GOAT, again, has to completely step aside for fucking Vince to call this entire goddamn match. I think Jim Ross got one sentence out in this entire match.
He's just biding his time. Biding his time. Because Vince is going to be off commentary very soon. Because, we'll talk about that in a couple matches from now. But the finish saw they're fighting on the outside. British Bulldog gets a handful of dog food. There's a can of dog food sitting on the announce table.
So, they're up until this point, they're fighting a very brutal match with hardcore-y kind of stuff. Shamrock did avoid a stair bump, very obviously, and it was kind of funny. But they're fighting a brutal match that would you would be upset if somebody was doing the things to you that British Bulldog is doing to Ken Shamrock.
Also, Ken Shamrock's bleeding from somewhere,
and
it's all over his mouth.
In every match he's in his entire WWF career, Ken Shamrock bleeds internally.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he bleeds from his mouth in every match I remember him ever being in.
It was a weird blood-stained pattern.
It just comes out of his mouth his intestines are punctured.
Then it goes around his lips.
It becomes lipstick. But it happens to him all the time.
Yeah.
I think he had ulcers or something.
He might have. Yeah, that would have tracked. He looked amazing in this match. I thought his selling was exceptional
in this match. If he would have decided to just do wrestling, he would have been an all-timer. I mean, he was fantastic right from the start and right through, and he was willing to let you do whatever the hell because he took some of the most brutal chair shots ever.
That rock.
But after all the brutal stuff that's happening in this match,
we need
handful of dog food. Handful of dog food makes him lose his fucking shit.
Yeah. Also, how the dog food is. It's in a can with a scoop that you would get ice out of at a restaurant. It's the biggest fucking scoop I've ever seen. But British Bulldog gets a handful of food, slaps Ken Shamrock with it. It's like he assaulted Shamrock's wife. Yeah. Is how Shamrock reacts to the dog food. Yeah. A little bit of dog food. Yeah. He sees red. His goddamn mind. He starts yelling and he beats the shit out of... It was fun to watch Shamrock beat the shit out of the Bulldog. It was super fun. But the stakes didn't really... I was like, what the fuck? No. You need help, Ken. But he lost control too much because he grabs that can of dog food. He hits British Bulldog in the back of the head. That's it. Match is over. Yeah. After they already did done a bunch of hardcore stuff, kind of. A bunch of DQ adjacent, enough DQ adjacent stuff that I kind of thought it was a hardcore match that I was watching. But then the one can, it was like, boop, that's it, over. Yeah. And this is what the match is remembered for. Back in the ring, Ken Shamrock's continue. He's not going to stop beating the shit out of the British Bulldog or anybody that comes in. It becomes his gimmick. Yeah, which is great. Yeah. So he's beating up British Bulldog. Ken Shamrock, he's shoving a bunch of refs, and then Ken Shamrock starts choking the British Bulldog, and he doesn't let go. Yeah. And this is a legit ass-looking choke. Looked like he was choking the British Bulldog. Yeah. Not worked. No. He was like, I've decided I'm going to try to murder the British Bulldog right now. He's not... With my mixed martial arts knowledge that I've been a UFC champion twice at this point, I think. He could have killed him, and it looked like he was trying. And the Bulldog wasn't selling like he was passing out. He was selling like... Somebody help. Somebody help. Please, I'm so sorry. This guy's not fucking around. I'm so sorry for saying it was a black one. Starting to sound like Scallum. So now do that voice with the British accent. I can't. He finally lets go of the choke, and then he proceeds to belly-to-belly two referees, Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, and then
Stiff as fick.
it wasn't like how they do belly to bellies now, where they fall together. He picks him up and just fucking throws him.
Like, land, however, hip, back, who gives a fuck?
Hey, old ass Pat Patterson, figure it out. And then he yells, "Get out of my way," which is now catchphrase forever. He screams some more, and then he leaves. What a missed opportunity with this guy.
Well, it wasn't really a missed opportunity. This is one of the few that I'm not going to put on the company because it was Ken that decided I want to go back into MMA.
Fair.
From everything I've heard, is that it was like they wanted to push him to the moon. They saw all the potential that we are seeing here. He just decided he wanted to not do pro wrestling at that point and go back to MMA, which he did. Interesting tidbit. Ken Shamrock was actually a pro wrestler before he was a mixed martial artist.
I didn't know that.
I learned it only pretty recently, like this year. He started as a pro wrestler, like in the like territories, kind of thing, and transitioned to MMA from somebody he met there.
Okay,
became a much bigger star in MMA. But when the Ultimate Fighter became a thing, and he was on the first few of those, and then using that like name cachet, went to WWF, which does explain why he was able to transition so seamlessly into pro wrestling.
That makes
and
a lot
be
of
very
sense.
good at a bunch of stuff right away. Because he was trained. Like he trained for it for years and years and stuff. And he was not a famous pro wrestler, but he was a pro wrestler before he was a fighter.
Interesting.
Cool.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's wild that guys that have actual athletic backgrounds, when they come in to do this, I mean, this is a little not a fair comparison because he's got a pro wrestling background before he goes into it, but like UFC guys, when they come into WWE or wherever they go,
usually pretty awesome right away.
Good at it,
yeah. A lot of football guys too. Like and then
Lawrence
of
Taylor.
course like Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor and Kurt Angle. It's same
There's our
same
difference.
level.
You're saying the same thing. Why are you?
Boy, that was a great Bam Bam match. Bam Bam did some Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax level work with Lawrence Taylor
He
in that
should have
match.
got a title run out
Yes,
of
he
that.
should have.
He should have. They should have rewarded his ass hard.
By the way, Snapped Shamrock is over as Stone Cold Steve Austin here.
Yeah.
The crowd is like going ballistic
There's
when
a couple
he
times
loses
he
his
just
mind.
he does it a couple times. He'll just randomly scream, and the crowd goes
They're like, "Fuck yeah, we love that shit." We're so 90s.
Jersey loves screams. Jersey loves screams.
Woodstock 99, motherfuckers.
Oh, we're building it. This Ken Shamrock's anger is the thing that bubbled into what happened at Woodstock 99.
We're fucking just a bunch of like young white guys that are pissed off at everything.
Yeah.
Is what 97 through 99 was in America.
You think you would have seen more belly-to-belly suplexes from at Woodstock, but
too many Jenko jeans getting in the way.
too many Jenko jeans and drinking not water. That's disgusting. You've seen that documentary, right? Ugh. I think we talked
Mentioned
about
it
before.
on the program.
On the pod. Up next, I wish I saw a belly-to-belly suplex. It was Jesus Castillo, Jose Estrada Jr., Miguel Perez Jr., and Sabio Vega, known collectively as Los Boricuas, versus 8-Ball Chains.
Didn't we get the little HBK?
We did. I'll finish saying who's in this match and then
Okay,
we'll go back.
sorry,
I wanted to say their Spanish names so bad.
Please do, because I have a joke to make about them.
8-Ball, Chains, Crush, and Skull. The Disciples of Apocalypse. It went 9 minutes and 8 seconds. We'll get to it in a second, but you want to save it until we talk
Los
about it?
Boricuas, their actual names sound like the infield for the San Diego Padres.
I mean, it's pretty much any baseball team, right?
Yeah. Padres just sounded funniest
Padres
to
is
me.
also Spanish.
Yeah.
The dads. But before we get to this 8-man classic, we're backstage again with Todd Pettengill putting in the work tonight, by the way.
He's the guy that brought in Michael Cole, too, from what I read.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, he did one
This
good
is
thing.
boy.
I've seen a boat movie. That's a deep cut. Todd Pettengill's backstage with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, in full referee regalia.
Yeah.
Todd Pettengill says, "Will you put your entire career on the line just to get even with Bret the Hitman Hart?" And Shawn says, "I don't know how many times I have to address this." And I just wrote, "Forever, Shawn. You have to address this forever.
the rest of your
for
life.
the rest of your life." I don't know how many times I have to address this, There's nothing between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
There certainly is.
For the rest of your life.
There is the most there can possibly be between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
By you saying that, I know how full of... I learned...
There is the most that there's ever been in the history of pro wrestling between Bret and Shawn.
This is the example of backstage beefs.
Yeah.
There have been more violent encounters with people backstage, and it is still not as notable as this.
When shit happens like CM Punk and AEW, what people say to defend either side is, at least it's not Bret and Shawn.
Anything that once was there was settled last year at WrestleMania when I beat him. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a dick move.
His promo here is good.
Yeah.
And which stood out to me because, like, this is 97, and then my brain thought, what did 95 Shawn Michaels sound like in promos? And not good.
Yeah.
And he's very good here. So that's a big jump in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Let me start. Oh, this isn't long. I'll just do the whole thing. I don't know how many times I have to address this. There is nothing between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Anything that was once there was settled last year at WrestleMania when I beat him. I am here to be an impartial, unbiased, fair referee, and nothing will get past the keen eye of Shawn Michaels. And I wrote, it's not lazy yet. That's why.
Yeah.
Detached retina? Is that what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I also forgot to. Yeah, I forgot to mention 2 3/4 for the Shamrock Bulldog.
Yeah, that's fair. Brutal.
Brutal
match.
It was absolutely. If there was more wrestling or Bulldog was on less drugs, it could have been like a 3.5 or closer to a 4.
Yeah.
But like Shamrock carried it with his brutality, basically.
Up next we have Jesus Castillo, Jose Estrada. We have Los Boricuas versus
at shortstop, Miguel
the
Perez.
Disciples of Apocalypse. Armando Estrada.
Number 14, Miguel Perez.
Oh. I see what you're doing. That's fun. This went 9 minutes and 8 seconds. So the way this whole story came together is Savio Vega and Crush, till like last week or 2 weeks ago, were a part of the Nation of Domination.
Crush is the Tamina of the fucking 90s, man. He's on every one of these shows we do, and I do not know what he does well.
Have you enjoyed one of his appearances yet?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, he makes everything he's on worse, much like a Nia Jax or a Tamina. What? Who did he know?
Yeah.
Does he have pictures? Maybe he's the one that has the pictures of the Vince and Sean blowjob.
He could. I mean, he was in top factions like forever.
Well, and he never was good at anything.
No.
Except being tall. He was tall.
But even then, guys in his own group are taller than him.
Yeah.
You know?
He's tall but not intimidating looking at all.
No.
He looks like a big soft guy.
Didn't he have a face tattoo, or is that fake?
I think that's fake. When would that have been?
Now.
What? Oh, now? I don't know.
Didn't he?
I figured he was dead. No, I don't know.
Oh, no. I mean, at SummerSlam '97.
I think that was fake.
Fake. Okay.
Because he did shit later, and there was no face tattoo.
This is me being naive. I'm 40.
What? I mean, it could be real. That could have been a real thing.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it in 20 years.
I don't expect you to know Crush's fucking life story that well. It's not. I wouldn't call that naivete. It could be a thing that he did.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure that it isn't real.
No.
I don't care enough.
Do you
to
think
really look it up or
someone
anything.
out there does know Crush's full life story?
Maybe
Wasted their life.
his sister or something.
Yeah.
I was gonna say wife, but I don't know if I can.
Will you marry me, Crush? Brada.
Brada.
So Crush and Savio Vega were fired from the Nation of Domination, and they're like, fuck it, we're going to start our own team.
Yeah, the Nation of Domination started off as a different kind of thing than what Nation of Domination I remember was. Yeah. Because it was just the Black Panthers when I remember it.
Yeah, that's when it was awesome.
And as far as, absolutely. Yeah. As far as I could tell, Crush and Savio Vega could not have been members of the Black Panther Party.
No. So Savio Vega starts Los Boricuas, and Crush just calls up his biker friends and starts the Disciples of Apocalypse. I wrote Miguel Perez is very hairy. He's very hairy. Even as a kid, I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
This is a weird ass match, man.
Well, I'm not done with the notes yet. There's a lot of bathroom break seats in this. Like most of the crowd has gotten up to go to the bathroom during this match, and it's an arena that doesn't just like have neutral colored seats. Like they're very bright.
You know, it's very obvious, and I felt bad for him because I don't think they realized how short this shit was going to be.
Yeah. Also,
they probably missed some of Owen and
a little bit. I'm watching the match and I'm like, Chains is the only good part of this match, and then I remembered he was fake Undertaker.
Yeah, he was.
So he's been
yeah, Chains could go a little bit.
Yeah, he came in and had like a little bit of a hot tag situation at the end of the match, and I'm like, this guy's looks pretty good.
I don't even know if it was long enough to call it at beginning, middle, or end. Barik was, by the way, were just dressed like a barbershop quartet. I don't know. I was waiting for them to start singing a cappella. I'm like, what is that? I appreciate that the team, unity dressing. But why are you dressed like you're about to break into song? Like,
by my Coney Island, baby, by my Coney Island.
And then one really deep guy, because there's always a deep guy.
Yeah.
You're bringing Damian Priest for that.
He would have fit.
Yeah. And he's like 57 years old now, so he would have been old enough to at 97.
Well,
97.
also, like, he's a Hispanic guy, and
they
they all start working when they're
like
like 10 years old.
Puerto Rican, aren't they? And isn't Barquez like Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Like exclusively?
Savio Vega's very Puerto Rican.
He would very much fit and have the deep voice. He could be their barbershop quartet baritone.
That's pretty funny.
It's a quartet. They'd have to kick one out.
That's some fantasy booking.
Maybe Miguel Perez, considering I don't know who the fuck that is. They could boot him.
They had an arm hair quota. He hit all the boxes. Like, we got to get a lot of back hair and a lot of arm hair into this group. Like, hey, Miguel, do you want to wrestle? The match, fine.
I have weird sloppy brawl. I might be with Meltzer on this half star. Not really. I gave it 1.5, but. I finished the match with a fucking elbow drop. A regular ass elbow drop.
Oh.
Like the move
the reason that was able to be done is because some buddies made an appearance. The Nation of Domination came out.
Yeah.
Farouk Kama Mustafa, who is the Godfather, D'Lo Brown, and Ahmed Johnson. I still to this day think like he could have been fucking great. Just
he
like
was
how
super
he looked.
reckless in the ring.
Yeah, but just his look, I'm like, young me's not going to allow that to.
And then he also, like, as soon as he had the opportunity to, put on 500 pounds.
When he went to WCW, yes. So Chains is thrown to the outside. The only decent part of this match to me.
That's what got it. It's 1.5.
And he attacks Ahmed Johnson. And then Ahmed Johnson does what they call a Pearl River Plunge. I know what a Pearl River Plunge looks like. It's not. I don't know what the fuck this was. Savio then throws Chains back into the ring, and then Miguel Perez covers him.
So, like, it wasn't a very impactful thing on Miguel Perez or on Chains. Chains gets rolled back in the ring and hit with, as I said, an elbow drop.
Yeah.
Not a top rope elbow drop.
No.
The thing that is like a time killer in a match.
Yeah.
It's like the third thing you learn at wrestling school.
That's correct.
That's what finished it.
Yeah.
Like a not really Pearl River Plunge. And then roll him in and hit him with an elbow drop.
Yeah.
And then the barbershop quartet gets the win.
Yeah, everything you're saying tracks. I don't know where the confusion's at.
SummerSlam, Dave. This is SummerSlam. This is their second biggest show of the year.
It sure is. They should have brought out the kids that the degenerate and the child that they dragged.
I'm not sure which was more fun, this match or that thing. At least I got to like laugh at Sonny behaving like a bad person through that whole like.
I was kind of the look I was just going for, and then Stone Cold
thinking about Vince McMahon losing his fucking mind when that phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing, and just his face was turned beat red. I'm sure
he got a little quiet. And then after the match, all three of the groups that are out there, the Los Barricos, Disciples of Apocalypse, Nation of Domination, they all start fighting for a long time.
Yeah, way too long.
Way too long.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's the bathroom people then were able to get back to their seats because the post-bullshit match brawl went on long enough that...
hopefully they were back in time for the next match, which is the Intercontinental title match between Owen Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
A kind of eventful match here, Dave, in the course of wrestling history.
A little bit. Some things happened in this match. This went 16 minutes and 16 seconds. So how this match was set up is, dude, we got to do this pay-per-view at some point. This is coming off the heels of the Canadian Stampede.
Yeah, I had that as one of the options.
Yeah. Owen Hart So that's a big multi-man match, and Owen Hart pins Stone Cold to win the Canadian Stampede main event it ends the show. And throughout this little pre-match vignette, we have Owen Hart repeatedly saying, "I was the man that beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was the man that beat Stone Cold Steve Austin." And then we see on Raw the following night, Stone Cold. Oh, I'm sorry, it's at that event. He's handcuffed and removed from the building. They're celebrating in the ring, and Austin's handcuffed and taken out of the Canadian Stampede event.
It's not the shot that they used in every promo. That's later on, right? That's during Austin McMahon.
He stunned Vince.
Definitely.
Yeah. When Vince flopped around
the famous.
Yeah. What is it with company like owners that don't know how to sell moves?
Because they're not wrestlers.
But like
maybe they don't wrestle.
I feel like I can feel the ground ball just by watching it enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're not like a weirdo billionaire guy. You're a normal dude who does normal stuff your whole life, and like you probably could.
So what you're saying is,
like I think both of us could probably take a stunner better than Vince McMahon or Tony Khan. Like right now, absolutely.
My big takeaway
without
here
having
is
any wrestling experience.
If I start acting weird in an athletic medium, I have made it. That's my new barometer for success.
Like if you are able to get on TV, being awkward at some kind of an athletic thing, like you're big enough that you can still be on TV despite being that awkward. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good barometer.
All right, we got new goals.
That means you own the company.
We got new goals now. So Stone Cold is seen in the vignette as well, saying, "If I cannot beat Owen Hart at SummerSlam after the match, when he pins me 1, 2, 3, if that happens, he could pull down his trunks, pull down his little panties, bend over, and I'll kiss him right on the ass."
Yeah.
I'd be very afraid.
Another stip. Weird stip.
You know what else is really good stipulation in an Intercontinental title match?
The fucking Intercontinental title,
sure
maybe.
Is, sir. And then Stone.
Maybe Vince also, on top of tag teams, doesn't really like championships. Like,
there's no evidence.
Besides the world title, he does seem to care about that.
And the world champ was the least important part of the world title match.
Yeah.
Like, I got a lot to say about that match. Stone Cold, in this, I've seen this for years. I'll kiss his ass if I can't kick it, and that's the way it's going to be. And then
again, we were like, this is the history. WWE history tells us that like this Stone Cold that I'm very much seeing didn't exist yet. Like he's like the most over guy on the card.
He won the King of the Ring.
He's doing all of his Stone Cold stuff. Like
he won the King of the Ring in '96.
Yeah.
They tell us at the top of the show, Triple H won the King of the Ring in '97.
Yeah.
We are currently in '97.
Yeah.
He did the promo over
a year ago. Yeah.
No, he's balls deep in this character. He's
very much Stone Cold Steve Austin, 100%.
Yeah.
Except he wrestles like stunning Steve Austin.
Yes. It was nice.
Boy, oh boy, it would have been amazing to see that for a while.
Vignette did its job, built the match nice. Owen Hart comes out. His Prince Batman '89 music.
Yeah.
Loved
it.
it.
Me too.
I haven't heard it in a while. I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. And then I wrote a very young 30-year-old Michael Cole who's trying to interview Stone Cold as he's walking in the back. And
I just said, hey, there's Cole.
It's just not going
Cole.
well.
I'm like, 30. Though he does look like a baby. He looks like a little baby
child. So the match starts. Owen Hart comes out first. Austin comes out second. Owen gets flipped off by Steve Austin, which prompts Owen Hart to attack Stone Cold's left knee before the bell rings.
And again, let me reiterate: Stone Cold is by far the most over person on this card.
Yes,
like by a long margin.
Yeah. That and when Ken Shamrock screams.
Yeah,
are the
like
two
Shamrock after Snap and all of Stone Cold are about equal, but like just as a performer,
you're right.
It's Stone Cold.
You're
like,
right. I was making a.
But it's true. That is true. They were that crazy for the Shamrock Snap. They were like bananas for that shit too.
If only there was a ref ejection so he can flex his signature move. Shout out Frankie. So Owen Hart wraps Austin's left knee around the ring post. Had a thought during this. Can't do ring post shit anymore.
Yeah,
because they have LED boards all over it.
Yep.
Like, it was weird seeing so many things with the...
I think I mentioned on another show, and then it didn't even occur to me. I'm like, oh, how come we never see the figure 4 over the ring post anymore? And that's absolutely why, but I didn't even think of it.
Too much plastic around it.
Yeah.
I just wrote, God damn it, was Austin good when his neck wasn't fucked? He's awesome Luthez press.
This was going to be a 5-star match,
It
Dave.
sure was. It
This
sure
was going to
was.
be a 5-star match.
It sure was. Owens, the whole Hart family takes those sternum first turnbuckle bumps,
Yeah.
and they look brutal every fucking
Awful.
time.
Like,
I don't know how they're.
like they break some cartilage or bone or
Yeah.
something in there every time.
I don't know how. Just the sound they get out of the.
Yeah,
It's fucking.
feels like it moves the ring. Like,
Yeah. Psychologically, they're doing smart moves. Stone Cold's working Owen Hart's upper left arm a lot.
Yeah.
Owen Hart's working Steve Austin's left hand a lot. He's fucking his knee up too. There's a sequence where Stone Cold does a stun gun into a pop-up powerbomb into a clothesline out of the ring.
awesome. And you know what's so fucked up is these guys had such good chemistry. You would think, with knowing what happens, that like, how could two guys that have this much chemistry in the ring go the direction that this goes? But like, they look like they've been wrestling each other for 20 years and like know each other like the back of their hand. You know, this match is so fluid and impactful and hard hitting. And like you said, that sequence was fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's moving like basically nobody remembers that Stone Cold could ever move the way that he's moving in this match.
Yeah. It was like video game like choreography. Like,
Yeah.
it just was so fucking good. It was so hard to watch too because I'm like, I know
It's sad. It's
know
sad
what's
as
coming.
fuck
It's like
because
when
it's
you-
such a great match too. That makes it sadder. Like,
So we're at the spot, and before we say it, you all know what it is. But I heard that Austin asked to not have this done.
he's said it more than once. He still, as far as I know, still to this day, like gets a little salty about it when they ask him about it. I mean, he softened because of obviously what happened with Owen
Right.
eventually. But he still is like, you know, he never called me to see if I was okay afterwards. And two, I asked him before the match, just do either a regular tombstone or regular pile driver. I don't think that we can do that safely.
Right.
But Owen was adamant.
And he did it. So the spot is Steve Austin tries a gut wrench. Owen fully rotates, lands on his feet, and he flips Stone Cold into a tombstone position. But instead of kneeling down, like the incredibly safe Undertaker, for as much shit as we give him,
I mean, the tombstone is a pretty safe move for a like pretending you're putting somebody on their head. It's about as safe as it can possibly get.
and it's fully controlled.
Yeah.
But that's when you're kneeling down and your entire core is involved.
Not when you're holding a 265-pound man,
Sweaty
at
this
just
point,
with your
baby oiled up, probably.
with your arms.
Yeah. Sits down instead of kneels down.
And you can see it as he's doing it. Like, oh, there's Stone Cold's head sticking out from under
his thighs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he spikes him.
Yeah.
And he gives him a stinger. So for all intents and
They called it a
purposes,
stinger back then. They don't even use that term anymore.
Yeah.
It was essentially a broken neck because he broke a bone.
he was essentially paralyzed for a little while.
He was briefly paralyzed.
For all intents and purposes. And then Owen Hart gets up and he just fucking awkwardly is walking around the ring and he's waving his arms saying he's done to the crowd. And he's like, he's going to kiss my ass.
It is very clear to all involved, by the way, at this point, that Stone Cold is super fucked up and
Vince
like they
says it
need to
too.
go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Vince says, oh, Austin, he's hurt. He's hurt
Yeah,
badly.
yeah.
Like the announce team is super somber. And Austin has come out and said afterwards, he's like, he felt like I think his shoulders were on fire.
Yeah.
Like parts of his body, because his spine was literally fucking broken from
yeah,
this, right?
yeah.
So he's in hell right now. He gets up for as many times as I've heard the story about this, relative to how many times I've watched this. It sounds like minutes go by.
Yeah.
He gets up really fast.
Yeah.
To end the match, and he's adamant that
I'm sure it felt to him like hours were going by though,
Yeah.
because the dude is like fucking. He can't move.
Right.
It's amazing he did what he did.
It was
even.
quick,
Like,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. And Austin is adamant for his character. He can't lose because of the stipulation of the match.
Yeah.
Which again, this should have been like the lesson you learn like in college, like about storytelling. Like, hey, make sure you can back out.
Yeah.
of-
There's got to be a backup plan.
Yeah.
There's got to be a ripcord on something.
There has to be, because
like a lot of the time, the great ones, if their opponent gets hurt, they will. Shawn Michaels done this a zillion times. Opponent gets hurt and they'll think of something on the spot.
Right.
That's amazing. And you don't even notice until way later you find out, oh, he had a broken tibia.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But Owen didn't know what to do here.
he didn't know what to do. He just walked around aimlessly, faces the crowd, and Stone Cold does the worst schoolboy in the history of wrestling.
Amazingly, he was able to even get his hand up to touch the leg and do the schoolboy. And this is the other thing that Stone Cold is pissed off about still to this day. He says Owen knew at that point that when you have a fucked up opponent like that, you don't do the kick out after.
Yep.
Yeah, because it'll hurt him worse.
Yeah.
And he's like, to this day, I believe that like it did much more damage because he did the kick out after the 3 count, and it flung my prone body and like with a already broken spine.
Yeah. Owen's got to look strong. So as he's being rolled up, 1, 2, 3, right after 3, he straightens his legs to try to look like he's kicking out, because he's got to stay strong.
Yeah.
Because that's what's most important. Crowd stoked. You can sense some general confusion though going around. They just saw the weirdest.
This is the weirdest roll up of all time.
Of course. Even the guy running the music isn't positive. His music doesn't hit right away. But it does eventually.
I mean, it's a miracle that the man didn't just permanently paralyze himself there. It's wild how tough Stone Cold is to be able to get through even what he did. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know how scary that would have to be?
Yeah.
In front of 20,000 people, you go laying there, you can't move.
Yeah.
Like, you think, I'm never going to walk again. And he's able to just get his arm up enough. And
it's tough to watch.
Yeah. It's real. It's really hard to watch. And this is like knowing that the man goes on to become the biggest star in the history of wrestling.
And is able-bodied and fine.
Yeah. Like he's not real, doesn't feel real good.
Yeah.
It's still in, pain and stuff. But like just what he could have been, knowing what he became, despite the severe limitations he had physically for the rest of his career after this, it's insane to think of what he could have been. Had he still.
I mean, if that damage stuck, we don't have a WWF in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Like, we just don't. Like, it would have, to look at a multiverse of what wrestling would have been.
Oh, my God.
If this was a little bit worse than it was, and he's done with wrestling completely.
Every documentary, they try to make it like DX and The Rock and all that shit were equal. I was there. Shit was not equal. No. It was stone goddamn cold.
The Rock was fun.
Like,
and The Rock,
and he became a huge deal too, and later, and he's had longevity and everything. At the moments like that we're talking about, Stone Cold was everything.
He's the fucking guy.
Like, he was
absolutely. Because also too, look at next year's SummerSlam. I believe The Rock and Triple H are doing ladder matches, right? I don't know what Austin's doing, but Rock's not he's on the come up.
Yeah,
right? And he gets there pretty quickly, but
he does.
Once
he's in the nation, and like
you have no Rock without Austin.
No, of course not. I know.
So this is tough.
I mean, the Attitude Era is the Stone. They may as well call it the Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Attitude is Stone Cold's attitude. Yeah. That's what the fucking attitude really means.
No.
It's not suck my dick, DX scratch chops.
No.
It's Stone Cold double birds. That's what the attitude was. Like,
yeah. I mean, so if you comp these, WCW had the NWO, WWF had DX. What the hell did you have on the other show that was going to touch Stone Cold?
Oh, no.
Nothing.
They tried Goldberg, but that's he's not even a wrestler really to me. That's just a gimmick that they did. I don't think that ever works really, for me at least. The just dominant guy that wins real fast.
Yeah.
Because it just gets super old.
No.
That was the closest they came, because it did get really over, but that was the closest, and it wasn't close.
Well, they did have Lex Luger win a world title once.
They did.
So
they had a lot of people on their roster that they had like a talented person booking and scouting and understanding what they had there, and not signing people to ridiculous contracts that like absolutely hamstrung the show. They could have put on a pretty competitive product.
Yeah.
It had to be different. It had to be like AEW is doing, a different wrestle centric kind of thing, which is not what they did, because he assigned a bunch of sports entertainer guys to contracts that have stipulations that say that they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
So that company dies when that goes up against goddamn Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Even when you sign the guy that's main eventing this pay-per-view, you somehow can't make it work.
It's insane. They couldn't figure out what to do with Bret the Hitman Hart.
No.
I forget too, like, he had great matches in WCW. They were just like in the middle of nitros and shit.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Like, he had a match with Sting inconsequential match. It's like a 4.75 star match.
Like, you're comping it well with AEW then. Just having
exactly. Yeah, like
meaningless
mid-show,
matches with
like-
amazing fucking matches.
Except most of WCW was not amazing matches in the middle of the show. It was just when Bret the Hitman Hart was being put in the middle of the show.
You're not wrong. But speaking of Bret the Hitman Hart, we're close. We're not quite there yet. We have Todd Pettingale still trying to make a little bit more money, and he does a voiceover for a video package that comes up next. And I wrote it again word for word because as we were making fun of it at the top, this is unnecessary. This is way too much theater. And,
100%.
And I forget exactly how you said it, but like this reads like I'm taking like a college course.
Oh, yeah. It's like NYU screenwriting recent graduate that doesn't understand the assignments. Like, I forgot to mention because it was on the next page that they are putting over the Stone Cold Broken Neck, obviously, but like they barely put over Henry Godwin's actual shoot broken neck that they knew about. Like, barely mentioned it. He's wrestling with a broken neck, and it was like, yeah, he also broke his neck or whatever.
And then they tease that they're going to break his neck again.
Yeah. Sorry, that's all.
No, you're fine. So the package says, Bret the Hitman Hart and his Hart. I'm not going to read it like that. Bret the Hitman Hart and his Hart Foundation have been on a colossal run in the WWF, but has the Hitman's patriotism led to insolence and overconfidence? And then they cut to Bret Hart saying on a previous Raw, like, thank you for still letting me be your hero. If I don't come to Canada with that World Wrestling Federation Championship belt, I will never, ever wrestle on American soil ever again, and that is a promise. Vince's interview him in this segment said, you said that if you don't win the World Wrestling Federation Championship at SummerSlam, you'll never wrestle on American soil. That's what you said. I was really noting how many times they say World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
Because I had to write it a bunch in this.
Vince used to love World Wrestling Federation.
His
favorite fucking thing.
The most awesome force in the history of the World Wrestling Federation stands in Bret Hart's way. A phenom whose tenacity and vengeance has overcome every obstacle faced. A man who proudly carries the torch of distinction, the WWF title. They actually said it there. I didn't. But in the largest spectacle of the summer, the Hitman will confront much, much more. And then Shawn Michaels, they show him on Raw saying, and this is when he's like super hoarse and like screaming and definitely has nodes on his vocal cords. The Undertaker and Bret the Hitman Hart for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and I will be the special referee. If I lean toward the Undertaker's side, I will also not be able to wrestle in the United States.
This fucked me up because I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? If there's a stipulation, there needs to be a definitive thing that triggers it. Yeah. Much like the Great American Bash 2004, when it was do the right thing is the stipulation. It's not a concrete thing. Lean toward the Undertaker side is not a concrete thing. So your stipulation can't be like triggered by fucking who decides what like lean towards the Undertaker side means.
There's some lawyer and legal when that happens. Like, the fuck do I write? Like, what are you doing?
It is. I hate it. Yeah. This is the most stepped up show in history. They're all stupid, and this one doesn't even make sense.
None of them are required.
No,
the only one
they're all title matches. Like
they're all title matches, and the one that's not a title match is the only one that I would give a pass to. Yeah, because that's silly and like
and the silly thing was the fun thing.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, it's Brian Pillman in a dress. And he's facing a guy that's
and he's like his character's I'm a crazy guy basically.
Yeah,
so like
that's the one that does work. Also, too. Jim Neidhart's fucking goatee is long gone at this point.
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
Should be long gone.
As far as I know, it never went anywhere.
No. He wasn't on the show, I believe. That was another thing as a kid. I remember thinking, I'm like, if they're shaving Jim Neidhart, why wasn't he on the show?
Do we know?
He didn't want to shave his goatee. I got to admit that's the thing.
That has to. You're right.
Not admit, but that's the only.
Because he's in the Hart Foundation. Yeah. All the rest of the Hart Foundation is there together, supporting each other. Shit.
Yeah. And it's not like it's in Germany. It's in fucking New Jersey.
So
like,
maybe he was afraid that like Vince was going to actually do it. Yes. And he was just like, fuck this. I'm staying home. Come up
with. Then we see Bret Hart to Vince McMahon.
It's not like it's a super long goatee. He could grow that shit back in like 2 months.
Yeah. Also, too,
month and a half.
Guys grow mustaches to get over. Maybe you shave your goatee and you get a new lease on life. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Kevin Sullivan shaved Hogan's goddamn mustache, and that shit was iconic.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good.
Sullivan! Shave that mustache and make him Hollywood.
Humble him, Sullivan!
So we see Bret, and again, we're still in the vignette. Bret Hart goes to Vince McMahon. He's yelling at him. He's got no right to be a referee in my match. That is a swerve. That's a swerve.
Yeah.
I'm like, Bret was hip. And then Bret slaps Vince McMahon's headphones off, and they have a little scuffle. This is where we learned that Vince McMahon, I believe, if not right here around this time, like, this fucker owns the company.
I would pay $5,000 for good, clear video footage of when Bret the Hitman Hart knocked Vince McMahon the fuck out.
We got
after
audio.
Survivor Series.
Yeah.
I want just a nice, clean shot. We got the shot of him all fucked up afterwards, but
Yeah.
I really want to see that.
It would have been nice. How do you think he hit him? He stiffed him in the jaw?
I
Side
think
of the head?
I think it was chin because
He
it was,
uppercutted him,
It was
right?
knocked out. It sounds like it was like an uppercut, kind of uppercut hook. Like he was, because Bret was. I think he was doing his boots up and telling Vince, "Get the fuck out! If you don't, by the time I'm done doing up my,
That's right. It
I'm
was
gonna
in his
knock you
locker
out."
room.
And he just stood up and whop and knocked him unconscious. And he
Yeah.
was definitely knocked out because the thing that we saw, or a guy who's just recently been knocked unconscious's eyes doing the googly thing that
Yeah.
they do after you
Not
get knocked
walking
out.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I wish we could see that.
Wrestling with shadows, man. That's like an annual watch in my house. I love that. So Bret Hart fights the Patriot last week on Raw. And
But that was a pretty good goddamn match.
Man, the Patriot was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Hey, you know who wasn't on this show?
The Patriot.
You know what the Patriot did 6 days ago?
Wrestled Bret the Hitman Hart.
He beat Bret
he
the
won.
Hitman
He
Hart.
beat him. Shit.
Shawn Michaels.
And he's not on SummerSlam.
He's not on SummerSlam. He's nowhere mentioned.
No.
That's not fair. He's mentioned here, but like he visually.
I barely knew he was with the company at this point.
This was also not too long before. I think it was for Canadian Stampede when Stone Cold came out and like remember he was on the ramp and guys just kept like coming out.
Yeah.
It was for Canadian Stampede and like Ken Shamrock comes out and the Patriot comes out and Sid comes out and Shawn Michaels comes out and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
This is like Avengers before I know what the Avengers are.
Yeah.
And then Shawn Michaels wasn't in the match.
They could have, Dave. I think they could have booked a better SummerSlam.
Yes. Yes.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
So right there was Sid on the table. Was Shawn Michaels was healthy. He's
Canadian Stampede
does
was
well
like
here.
2 months before this, or
Canadian
a month
Stampede was a
before this, or
great show,
something.
too.
Yeah,
Great show.
So if he was there, I don't think he'd quit between then and this.
No, maybe it's a softball season, but
It's true.
yeah, but the Patriot rolls. So Shawn Michaels interferes in the match, and the Patriot rolls up Bret Hart for the win, days prior to his SummerSlam main event. So 3 matches that I can identify in the Hart Foundation were made this week. I could be dead ass wrong about this, but it feels like they were all made. If not one, let's give it 2 weeks before the fucking
I wasn't
show
paying
started.
close enough attention during the. I mean, I watched these the video packages build up, like the build up before the matches that we're talking about, but I wasn't paying attention to like timelines enough.
Oh, I highlighted it. Never mind. So, the Patriot beat Bret Hart July 28th, 1997. This is August 3rd.
As far as I remember from the top of the show. So, SummerSlam, Dave.
SummerSlam. Your main event, heel, loses on Raw to an up-and-coming babyface, and he has no part of the...
By comparison, in the year of our Lord 2024, SummerSlam is 3 pay-per-views away, and they've already started building stories for SummerSlam.
Yep. It's fucking Bret Hart. Like, how did he allow that, first off?
Yeah.
Also, too, this heel faction
Well,
is...
Bret did. We've read the books and stuff. Bret did what he could do. They fucked him
that's
pretty
true.
royally.
That's
like
true.
when the guy that the boss is sucking his dick refuses to lay down for you at all. What are you gonna do? There's only so many things you can do.
I notice a parallel here now. I'm thinking about this. Wasn't there a guy that has recently been blackballed from the company that refused to do certain types of work with people that's been publicly ousted?
Yeah.
By one John Moxley in a
Yeah.
WrestleMania match? Some kind of things that were a little like the other ones. Let's see. And then just to remind you that he's in this match after the Patriot beats Bret Hart we see the Undertaker at the top of the ramp on Raw holding
Yeah.
the belts. Like, I forgot you were here. They have built this whole thing around Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and you're
The
just like
Undertaker's the biggest afterthought ever.
biggest afterthought. He's the World Wrestling Federation champion, by the way.
And by the way, this is my second most hated, like Undertaker look beyond the Biker Taker.
Yeah,
This
Ministry Taker.
Ministry Taker.
Bad. So we go back to Todd Pettengill to wrap this up. He says, in the biggest WWF title match of the year, pride, power, and conflict will rule. If the dark side prevails, a fallen idol will face exile. And if this man has his way, Shawn Michaels, that possibility will become reality.
Which very fucking confusing when Todd Pettengill says if the dark side prevails, he's talking about Bret Hart, who's wrestling the fucking Undertaker. So you would think the dark side.
If the dark side prevails, a fallen idol will face exile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't say dark side when you're referring to faces and heels, first off. Also, if the Undertaker's a good guy, like, we got it.
By the way, the crowd didn't really think the Undertaker was a good guy here because they were stone silent for him and most of this match until the last, like, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe. And then they got up for it because Bret Hart's Bret Hart.
So this was the last match of the night.
Oh, the main event of the evening.
I gotta get a
Thanks
bell.
for reminding me. I always forget.
I gotta get a bell or something.
The time machines. It's always the time machines.
I'm gonna
that
get
I forget.
like a pen light just starts shining in your face. It was the World Wrestling Federation Championship. The Undertaker versus Bret the Hitman Hart with special guest referee Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. It went 28 minutes and 9
A
seconds.
long motherfucking match.
Bret comes out first and he does some Healy shit. He has the Canadian national anthem play.
Bret's reaction to Undertaker's goofy wizard shit. It was so beautiful. It was so perfect, like him with communicating to me through just a look. This fucking cartoon bullshit doesn't belong on a wrestling show. Like,
that's pretty funny. He comes out, the Canadian national anthem plays in full, and then he gets on the mic, dedicates his match to his fellow Canadians and fans all over the world that feel the same way as he does about America and Americans. The Undertaker comes out next. He's rocking a teardrop tat. It's a big ass teardrop tattoo.
Yeah, my note on that one was nice teardrop tattoo, fucking dork.
I tried to Google what it meant because
it's the prison thing. He's supposed to, I killed so many
It
guys.
means so many different things.
Yeah.
So,
but he definitely thought it was I killed this many people.
I guess.
Like
he embalms people. He doesn't kill people.
he's a fucking dork. That's what he does.
They did say that at SummerSlam, the Undertaker is 6-1. The Undertaker lost his first SummerSlam match last year against Mankind in the Boiler Room Brawl.
Yeah.
And then Bret Hart is 7-1 at SummerSlam, and he lost his only SummerSlam match to, let's see, think. What do you think?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry. I was looking at a note.
Bret Hart has lost one. He's 7-1 at SummerSlam. Who has he lost to? SummerSlams. It's a big one.
Bulldog?
Yeah. 92 in Wembley
I'm
Stadium.
pretty fucking good at WWF trivia.
Yeah,
but considering I don't consider myself a historian of
I
that.
wish you just stopped there. Just be like, I'm pretty fucking good at this.
That would be a better character thing. I could edit it out the humility.
Yeah, we need a humility filter.
But like we're listening back to last week doing the women's champs, I was like, I'm surprised I did as well as I did.
You're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So the match, so Shawn Michaels is refereeing this match like it's like equivalent to when you're driving and you see a police car behind you and you all of a sudden are the best driver on the fucking planet.
Yeah, looking out for everything, but you possibly are my mirror's good.
Stop, make sure the car rocks back, don't exceed the speed limit. That's how he's refereeing the match. Before it starts, he's checking everybody's boots under their shoes.
It's like
their
you watching a World of Sport 1978 British match.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they're checking that much shit.
And
by the way, blonde Paul Bearer is very disquieting.
he's not out yet.
Like what? I thought because we were doing the checking,
he's not
the
out
stuff that he was already.
No, he comes out eventually.
He does come out later. That's right. Because my only note on Paul Bearer was the blonde Paul Bearer is very disquieting.
So Shawn Michaels is he gets the belt from the Undertaker. He holds it up, shows the crowd before he hands it off to the timekeeper. She shows it to the challenger, as one does, and Bret Hart takes the title, holds it up, and then he hits the Undertaker in the back with it while his coat is still on, and then Bret Hart just fucking laying into the Undertaker, and that's how the match.
Big time offense early here.
The match starts while the Undertaker is still in his ring entrance gear.
Yeah,
which is
looks like his regular gear anyway. Who gives
Yeah,
a
that's
shit?
fair.
It's the Undertaker.
And then it's a back and forth match, and it's pretty normal for a long time. And then just very good refereeing by Shawn Michaels.
I thought it was
It's fine.
It was pretty good and 100% because of Bret. I kept pissing me off that Bret had to slow himself down to the Taker's pace. And even slow down Bret is still a Bret Hart match, so it was still fucking pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored by it, but I did get irritated a bunch of times, and I'm like, just fucking come on, pick it up.
Yeah.
It's not just because you're a big guy. I've seen lots of big guys that work quicker than this.
Yeah.
And then the Taker would do it he does those punches, best striker in wrestling, whatever. The real fast left and rights that look as impactful as the Eddie Kingston baby. Everything looks terrible, and everything Bret does looks like it's fucking killing you, and it doesn't ever hurt anybody, and it just irritated me. They wanted to hitch their wagon to Undertaker more than Bret.
For reasons.
Going forward.
I don't know why.
Has Undertaker ever had a good match against a non-top 25 all-time
I
wrestler?
was going to ask you the same question. What matches he had where he hasn't led that was great?
Yeah, I can't think of a good match without it doesn't have a all-time wrestler as an opponent for him.
I mean,
there were some Stone Cold ones. There were good ones. There were the Michaels ones, obviously.
Triple H, Mankind,
Mick, CM Punk,
AJ Styles,
AJ Styles. The Brock one sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Henry wasn't very good.
No.
Giant Gonzalez, Jimmy
terrible.
Snuka wasn't good.
Terrible. The Kane match, the billion Kane matches sucked.
The Ric Flair was Ric Flair, so didn't have to be good. No, I'd be hard pressed to find.
Only
I don't get
just
it.
good.
I don't get his.
Were against all time greats.
He's the locker room leader. Why? You're average at best. Your fake brother was better than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that great.
But he
was better than the Undertaker.
He was better. Yeah. He. I don't know. If I had to draft for big spooky monster on my roster, I'm taking Kane every time.
Most confusing shit in wrestling to
Doesn't
me
make any sense.
is the Undertaker's career.
I don't care. I don't care about his notoriety. I just don't care. It's annoying when I see, and you mentioned this, and I can't unsee it now that he's got this podcast now.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if my phone's, of course my phone's listening to me, but now in all the YouTube shorts, I'm constantly seeing fucking Undertaker clips.
Incredibly popular. and he never says anything that's interesting except when he lets the cat out of the bag on something that they're trying to hold as a surprise.
Yeah.
Everything else he says is just some bullshit like an old guy says about the new generation not getting
They're not
it or
as
whatever.
tough as they used to. It's they don't have to be. It's a different fucking time.
They're better than now. They're better, way better. Just like actors throughout history or whatever a generation we're in. That's the best actors. That's the way it goes.
You have more information you're standing on the shoulders of giants.
Your people, you learn from prior and then you add to.
Right.
It's always better. The newest is always better when it comes to stuff like this. And the Undertaker doesn't believe that because he's a stupid old man and he was a bad wrestler. And if I get put in the ring with a bunch of Hall of Fame level, better than Hall of Fame level, top 20 in ring talents, I probably could have some okay matches too.
It was a good choice in hindsight. Hey, can I just work the best guys ever?
I got an idea. Can I only work Shawn Michaels and CM Punk and Triple H and
multiple times? No, it'd be great.
And then run the Ministry of Darkness and admit that it's great because then I don't have to wrestle anymore.
Yeah. He did say that on the podcast.
You told me.
Yeah, I was grateful. I don't have to do anything. Luckily, Bret Hart did everything, and it was a shitload of rest holds. But Bret Hart makes rest holds look like he's actually trying to accomplish something.
He does the thing where it's a rest hold for the other guy, but really it's not a rest hold for him because he's transitioning and you're going from a chin lock to a headlock and then to moving that into an arm, constantly moving, constantly when you got him in the chin lock, cranking on it and stuff to make it look like you're doing. So you're working. you're moving around.
Yeah.
It's a rest hold for the other guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. One note I had about Shawn Michaels, maybe not working so like Shawn Michaels is tall. He's 6'1", right?
yeah.
Bret Hart's 6 foot tall. So like I didn't love how it made Bret look like less than.
I never felt that way because Bret was such a more substantial guy
Yeah.
than Shawn always.
Yeah.
He just was thicker, just built more like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
He just was. So like the height thing never stood out to me.
So then I did more research on this. Apparently, it is an edict that a referee cannot be taller than a certain height.
Oh, that makes sense for like a regular ref.
Yeah, to make everybody else look
Yeah.
in the ring
I mean, that's not
bigger by
surprising.
comparison.
Except ECW had a bunch of like 6'4" guys that were 300 pounds.
Would you care to venture a guess? I put it into an AI search. I said, give me the most popular referees from 1970 to today and their heights. And then I averaged out what their heights were. If you had to guess what the average height of those referees are.
5'8".
Ooh, 9.8 inches.
Hebner was a little bit tall.
Price is Right rules. You're playing a fabulous pricing game.
I don't know what Red Shoes was. He was probably the most famous 70s American dude. Oh, yeah, and then the Japanese Red Shoes became famous in the 2000s. But like Hebner was probably the biggest of the guys that I can remember. He probably brought up the average.
I probably have the search somewhere, but thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense, though, that you would want, of course, I mean, like the Bill Alfonso thing. Put the little guy in there, makes every
Look more
big
imposing.
guy look bigger.
Yeah.
And exactly why you don't book stuff like The Undertaker versus the Giant Gonzalez.
So Bret Hart does his figure 4. Oh, not yet. This is not on the post. He just puts him in a regular figure 4 in the ring. And your favorite blonde-haired version, Paul Bearer, comes strolling out.
Like,
and he
like
starts...
not just blonde. It's like coiffed. It looks like he's in a commercial for a hairstylist or something. It's really strange because it's Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
With like two-tone coiffed blonde hair.
He looks like...
the manager for the Body Donnas or something. Like,
did you ever see Addams Family 2?
Yes. Yeah.
It's
both of those movies are underrated.
It's when Fester got blonde hair.
Yes, yeah. It might have been right around this time. Maybe that's what they were doing.
That could be. That may be why I loved it so much, because those Addams Family movies are funny.
No, they were just very good movies. They're still funny. They hold up too.
And this whole time, blonde Paul Bearer is he's claiming that the Undertaker's brother is still alive.
Yeah, this is right prior to Kane's debut, which, as we've mentioned, Vince McMahon is just laying on fucking super thick.
This is also a year in the making. Like, he turned on the Undertaker last SummerSlam.
Yeah,
they're milking the fuck out of this for a long time.
That went that long?
Well, this is in the era of In Your Houses, so
Jesus Christ,
there's Monday Night Raw, and so like
too long, Dave.
He hit him with the urn. Well,
that's longer than Otis and Chad Gable.
But once the Undertaker gets out of the figure 4, he rolls outside and he just starts beating up Paul Bearer.
A few years later, he does kill him. So
yeah, all's well that ends well. As the Undertaker's beating up Paul Bearer, Bret Hart chop blocks his left knee, and then Bret Hart puts Undertaker in the corner figure 4, where he just drops down and bangs his head.
Yeah.
Some analyses I've seen of his last match with Goldberg, people are saying they think he may be a little disingenuous, that it wasn't just the kick that got him. It was when he did the corner figure 4, he slammed his head against the ground.
That's a lot of space.
It's a lot of bullshit.
Like
is
the
what
time
it is.
in between. He got kicked right in. He got mule kicked in the head. That's what happened. And then they had him working like pretty stiff matches immediately after he was concussed. That's really what happened. It was the Goldberg thing, but it was more there was no time off.
Yeah.
And we know now with concussion protocols and shit that the time off is the most important thing.
Right.
They had him like working stiff ass matches like the next day.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. It wasn't him hitting his head on the goddamn.
From a guy that was there, that's what he said. This is what he says.
Yeah.
This is what he said. They know better. You ever book a pro wrestling show? That's what he's saying.
What a douchebag.
I make a note here. Bret Hart's pissed when Shawn Michaels is doing his job.
Yeah.
And he's doing a very good job. I'll say it 100 times. He's a fucking terrific referee.
So there's one spot I alluded to earlier. I need to ask you about because it felt like he was doing it on purpose. When Shawn Michaels was like when the Hart Foundation comes out, Shawn Michaels is paying very much close attention to them.
It was on purpose.
Why that helped Bret? Why was he helping Bret?
He wasn't helping Bret. So
the Undertaker was like going for getting a pin.
Yeah. So what? That's actually the next thing up. So Owen Hart and Brian Pillman come out. Bret Hart's working the fuck out of Undertaker's left knee. Undertaker rolls outside to beat up Brian Pillman and Owen Hart. They did nothing, by the way. Undertaker's just rolling outside and fucking clearing house, and they're trying to say like, oh, he's preemptive. He's getting to him before they get to him. And then Shawn Michaels makes him leave. The Undertaker chokeslam back in the ring. Undertaker chokeslams Bret Hart and covers him. And this is what you're talking about. HBK is watching the back, watching
like for way longer than you would.
Yeah, it was way longer, but now you got a little. You can go either way with it because if he favors the Undertaker in any way, he's going to never wrestle in America again.
So he's like overdoing it.
He's making extra damn sure that it can't be perceived that he's favoring the Undertaker.
That's us doing a little booking for him, I think, but I accept it. No, it's an acceptable level. Yeah. It's an acceptable level of that. Like it wasn't like a thing that totally took me out of the match or anything. It was just like, I need a little explanation here. I didn't quite get it because he definitely, it felt like, I know there's some shit going on behind me and I'm intentionally looking up the ramp right now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really, but that would make some sense.
It was also the second run-in because Paul Heyman would have been great on this. Paul Bearer counts as one, and then Owen and Pillman.
This guy calling him out.
So Shawn Michaels realizes he's being covered, so he rolls in the ring, and he does not. No, he does not roll in the ring. The Undertaker's just pissed, and he grabs Shawn Michaels.
He comes over and he's like, "What the fuck?"
And he grabs Shawn Michaels, which should have been a DQ.
Yeah.
But I keep calling him Triple H. Shawn Michaels is playing loose and fast. He's letting him play.
Yeah.
Playoff game. He's letting him play.
I've never heard them say in WWF or E that a referee's discretion. So you shouldn't let him play.
You got him play ball.
You're supposed to let him play ball.
It's an important game. Bret Hart does his corner elbow drop, but he flips the crowd off before he does it, which he's so good. This little shit. This was the silliest shit I've ever seen.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart has the deepest sharpshooter in the Undertaker.
I couldn't fucking believe how deep that shit was on that big immobile motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that a receipt or something? Because not before or since has a move been put that deep on the Undertaker. Like he had him bent in half.
I just know that in the crematorium they offer Bikram yoga as well, which is why he can bend the way he can. He's got the Undertaker in the sharpshooter, and the Undertaker just puts his hands up, straightens his legs, and ejects Bret Hart out of the fucking ring.
Just gets to fucking kick Bret Hart out of a move that he's never been broken up like very easily.
And then I just wrote, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that's pretty much my note too.
So
like, fuck this guy. He's being carried this whole match, and then he gets to like easily power out of maybe the best wrestler on earth at the time's finisher. Like,
with probably one of the most protected finishers in wrestling.
Yeah,
history.
absolutely.
With him.
And nobody to that point had gotten out of it in any way besides the ropes. Yeah. Yeah. No counters, nothing. It was people had gotten to the ropes, but that was it.
Like, were they trying to, like,
piss people off that are wrestling fans?
Or piss off the guy that is their best worker and send him to the other
obviously
company?
Didn't care that much about the guy. Like,
Bret Hart he does a sharpshooter around the corner, around the post. It looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the purpose of it is the Undertaker straightens his legs again, and he sends Bret Hart into Shawn Michaels on the outside of the ring, really watching for some reason because you can't. I don't know what he's looking at, but because the Undertaker's over there, his legs are over here. But sends Bret Hart into Shawn Michaels. So now Shawn Michaels is a little dazed. Bret Hart, because he sees Shawn Michaels is dazed, gets a chair,
That shouldn't daze Shawn Michaels, by the way. Like,
Well, when
he's
you're a referee,
he's a world champion wrestler.
when you're a referee,
you lose all your ability
yes,
to
that's true.
sustain any damage.
That is correct. That is correct. It's like when you're playing a video game and you get new armor, you put on your like old armor. You're like, I'm not as strong anymore. Shawn Michaels has put on old armor. It's a referee outfit.
I've seen
He's
him
not as
jump
strong
off of
anymore.
ladders and shit.
Yeah, he
He's fine. Like,
You know what wasn't on that jump? A referee shirt. So he's a little weaker. So because he's weaker, Bret Hart grabs a chair, and he goes into the ring, hits Undertaker in the fucking head with the chair. Shawn Michaels is outside tending to his knee.
My note on the chair shot was it's the safest unprotected chair shot I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He stops it like magic, like exactly at the point of impact.
He knows what he's doing.
The second chair shot, not so much. It wasn't him doing it, but it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like unprotected, and it didn't look like it really hit him that hard.
Yeah.
Like it looked great without looking scary.
Yeah. This is amazing at his job.
Yeah.
Also, too, Shawn Michaels, like I mentioned, tending to his knee. Up until this point, there was big concern that he had a knee injury, and then on Monday Night Raw, he does a fucking backflip in his cargo shorts. But he's finally back in. The Undertaker kicks out at 2. Bret Hart's covered him, and then Bret Hart gets in Shawn Michaels' face. Bret Hart goes back to laying into the Undertaker. He's punching him in the corner. Call him again, Triple H. Shawn Michaels sees the chair, and he asks, "Hey, Bret, what's this chair about?" And Bret ignores him. He goes
What did you think Bret was going to say to him? I hit him in the fucking head with it.
Bret Hart ignores him, which is the correct move.
Yes.
Goes back to stomping the Undertaker in the corner. Triple H spins Bret Hart around.
HBK.
What did I say?
Triple H again. They are, pretty.
They're the same guy. Shawn, you know why? Because I wrote HBK.
Yeah.
HHH.
And an H, yeah.
Shawn Michaels spins Bret Hart around because he wants some answers about his chair. Bret Hart very clearly says, "Fuck you." Hawks a loogie at his face.
This era, in this particular feud, the entire Bret Shawn saga, there are better loogies. Bret Hart is the best loogie spitter in the history of pro wrestling. Everyone he spits on Vince, on Shawn, are like, it's like a fucking full-size marshmallow. Like, boom, right in the face. He's as good at that as he is at doing wrestling moves.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's got more hydration in his diet.
You'd think that you'd think you'd have nothing after wrestling for 25 minutes or whatever it's been at this point. Like, still plenty to do a big.
It's a lot.
It's like Spider-Man.
And his aim is very good too.
2 for 2 from what I can remember.
Spider-Man. So he hawks a big loogie at Shawn Michaels, lands right above his mouth.
Just like boom.
Big fucking. He looks like a little shitty white mustache above Shawn Michaels' lip.
Respect to Shawn for agreeing to letting that happen.
Yeah, especially in this time.
I'm sure he didn't expect the fucking full-size marshmallow version.
Shawn Michaels is pissed at this point, has the chair that he's still investigating, swings it at Bret Hart, but he ducks, and the Undertaker is now vertical, and he gets hit with the chair.
It was really nicely timed little
It's one of the best spots in wrestling
history. Yeah.
This whole sequence.
Yeah.
And this match crescendoed so beautifully to this.
Yeah, a bunch of little stuff that has to go right for it to work, and every one of the parts goes right.
Yeah.
Thank God the Undertaker's only job was to stand there like a fucking asshole, because he was able to pull that off.
Sure. I gotta throw lightning at who? No, you just stand there.
He does lightning at the beginning, and Bret Hart looks at him like fucking clown.
So the Undertaker has been struck with the chair. Shawn Michaels yells "shit," drops the chair, and then counts the 3 like normally, not a slow count. Immediately,
with consternation on his face, though, he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
God
he's very.
Damn it.
He has to.
Yeah,
he has to
down the middle, and it was his fault. He's the one that.
He's one of 5 guys who put a nobody asked for stipulation on your presentation. Bret Hart is the new World Wrestling Federation champion, and the Undertaker is in pursuit of Shawn Michaels, who has scurried away. He's not like in hot pursuit. He's just in pursuit. Undertaker doesn't do hot pursuits. He's like,
he has never done a hot pursuit of anything in his entire goddamn career.
No.
We've watched some Ian Markell stuff, I think, even, and no hot pursuits there either.
He likes to keep his pulse under 100.
You know what he is? He's way more dishonest about what he is, Kevin Nash.
Yep.
He does this. He's the same as Kevin Nash, except
that.
Kevin Nash is like, yeah, I didn't really want to fucking bump too much. Fuck that. I wanted to get paid, and I know I had a good look. So,
Yeah.
like, that's what I went for. And I respect Kevin Nash a billion times more because of it.
Dead man walking. After the match, British Bulldog Brian Pillman and Owen Hart come out to celebrate with Brett.
The celebration goes on long enough for the song to double over, I noticed. It was just like, whoa, that's
If you look at
a
what
Hogan
was,
celebration.
they had to fill time.
Yeah,
This did not
yeah.
go 3 hours.
There's like 4 matches on this goddamn
Yeah,
show,
it was-
Dave.
it was light.
It was like
It was light.
It was the filling time in addition to the 45-minute bingo phone call key game and the like 25-minute interview with the governor. Like,
So
you couldn't have put the Patriot on her. Like, yeah.
So on their roster in 19. So this is what year? This is August. August 3rd.
Yeah, August 3rd. So it was a bunch of guys that like.
So
even the names that you're probably gonna say are not really what they are yet.
Correct. We had the Smoking Guns and the Blackjacks. That's a tag match
and
right
so those
there.
are like and that would have been a pretty decent match and later on name guys, but
Yep.
like it would have been a decent match even then.
Oh, there's a tattoo on his face. We had Bob Backlund, Bob Holly, Brian Christopher, the Brooklyn Brawler. These are guys that were not on the show.
Yeah.
Doomsday, who was not yet
Kane?
Kane.
When was he Doomsday?
I don't remember that.
I remember Isaac Yankem. I don't
think
remember
this-
fucking Doomsday.
Maybe they had him on the like roster as Doomsday,
Yeah.
so they didn't tee him off. We had Flash Funk.
Oh, that could have been fun.
We had
Flash Funk and the Patriot.
yeah, I'm down. How about Flash Funk and Mark Marrow, who
Yeah,
is still on the
that'd
roster?
be real solid. That's that's a nasty boy level dude. That I'm like,
He's
I'm really high on
still
him at this
he's
point.
still like he's not ruined yet because
Yeah.
he's not boxer Mark
No.
Marrow yet. We have Jeff Hardy. We have Jesse James.
It was Jeff Hardy, like Jobber Jeff Hardy.
Jobber
though.
Jeff Hardy, yeah. Like wearing a bunch of plaid
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy. And then we had Mark Henry.
Like what's his name? The Italian Stallion still stealing all their money.
Yeah.
Like,
That's it. That's the whole card. I'm sorry, that's the whole roster.
well, I mean, the tag match and the Patriot and
Mark Marrow.
Mark Merritt. Like, do that.
100%.
And then get rid of those 2 fucking stupid things.
So it made the show feel longer than it was, but
Well,
really,
I thought the main event went on too long too.
of course it did.
And that always makes it feel too long, like a show too
But
long.
they had to.
Yeah, they had to, and like at least it was Bret Hart doing it,
Yeah.
like so that makes it a little better. It would have been nicer if it was Bret Hart against anybody else.
Do you think
Yeah.
that Owen and Austin were supposed to go
Oh,
longer?
definitely. That was definitely supposed to go much longer. That was like they were like halfway into a 5-star match when that happened. So yeah, I mean, it's still that's not enough to be the excuse for why.
It was
like,
16 and a half minutes. It's a long match.
what did it go that long?
16 and a half.
So that definitely was going to be a 5-star match
Yeah.
because like if he hadn't broken his neck, it would.
I guess that was the big spot of the match too. So it was going to end relatively
Yeah,
soon
okay.
after that. I'm just thinking out loud, like why did?
No, if it was 16 minutes, then you're
Yeah.
right. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yes.
So reading this back and then like I like the opening match more than I remember liking
Me
it.
too. Yeah,
And
definitely.
then
I like
last
the
two.
opener. Like I like legit liked the opener. That
Yeah.
was probably my favorite match on the show.
Yeah.
I really respect what Brett was able to get out of the Undertaker in the main
Yeah.
event. I can't say I liked the match. I actually that was my one match that I agree with Meltzer. I went 3 stars even on the main event.
Sure.
And it's all Brett, all due to Brett. The finish was cool. It was obviously, but that's Shawn Michaels and Brett. It was not to do with the Undertaker, but I thought this was going to be a better show, from my own memory and also from like what people have talked about it being as far as where they rank it. I wouldn't rank it nearly as high as a lot of people have.
Right.
Um,
Well, how could you?
yeah, no. I'm not Dave Meltzering it, but because that I really do think that the opener was kind of a banger.
Yeah.
And again, there was one guy doing all the work, but it was cool, and it felt like big time, and it didn't have any stupid fucking stipulations. Yeah, one really good match. The rest of the card was mostly just okay, with like one kind of crappy.
Right.
And then filler bullshit that was a nightmare to get through.
And it was all stuff that's going to be like staple, like that that 8-man tag. We're going to see that for the next several fucking years.
Yeah.
Actually.
And you know what? If Stone Cold doesn't break his neck, that's a 5-star match in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
That changes everything. That changes everything.
And then we have Gang Warfare coming up that was Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Gang Rules? Gang Rules is what it was. And, well, wrestling's about to change.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's about to change, primarily driven by the guy that just broke his goddamn neck. What a bad motherfucker Stone Cold Steve Austin
Absolutely.
is.
Couldn't agree more.
It's like, it's hard to say with anybody, the GOAT, because what do you talk, like, there's so many different things in wrestling that you can be, but just as a fucking dude, Stone Cold's the best ever. He's just the best ever. Like, he's not the best in ring, even before but he was great, like, before he broke his neck.
Right.
But, like, there's never been anything like what he was for a couple of years there. Like, it was the best. It was the best. And it was after he couldn't really do anything. It's amazing.
It's the greatest what if in wrestling.
Yeah.
What if
Probably.
Owen went to his knees instead of his ass?
Yeah. If he just did what fucking
The guy asked
the
him
more
to.
veteran guy before the match asked him to do.
Politely requested.
Yeah. And Stone Cold even made up with Jeff goddamn Jarrett. They hated each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
The only thing I've never heard him say, like, I've gotten past it, was this here. So that makes me feel a little bit worse about the show, too.
Yeah.
Probably. But, again, pleasantly surprised by how much I really like the opener.
Yeah.
I think that'll probably about do it for Turnbuckle Time Machine this week. You can check us out on our socials. Twitter is at Blue Thunderpod. This is going to be repetitive, guys, but still. Our TikTok is Blue Thunderpod. Our Instagram is Blue Thunderpod. YouTube is the Blue Thunderpod. And you can also get to all of those at the top of the website, bluethunderpod.com. Thanks for joining us, guys. Please check out our regularly scheduled Blue Thunderpod episodes, which will drop at their regular time on Friday morning. And we'll see you again next time.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Bye.